Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of September 4th, 2018 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Please notify the Township Clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at Mayor and Council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Please stand for a salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno. Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman Cumming.
Here.
Councilman Ullman.
Here.
Council President DeSena.
Here. Can I have a motion to suspend the agenda and move to the presentations?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Cumming.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. We'll now have presentations to Stone Mill Gardens, Nicholas Food Town, Girl Scouts Troop 95-583 in the 5th grade, Girl Scout Troop 95-564 of the 6th grade, and Cub Scout Troop number 228.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As part of the Green Team presentation, we always like to recognize things that are going on in our town. And I want to call the troop leader for Troop 95583 and the troop leader 95564. These are the Girl Scout troop leaders. Can you guys come up here? Now, the Girl Scouts on these two troops are recognized by the Green Team for the flowers that they have been planting around town. They did a terrific job on cleaning up Clark Field when we planted the trees. And the Green Team is going to recognize them tonight, and I believe the Mayor and the Council is also going to recognize them tonight. So if we could call up the girls and have them come up front here.
Kira Leahy, Emma Coker, Mia Cooperstein, Isabella Starlow, Brooke Wickman, Isabella Scalia, Alexis Toro, and I'm not sure if I saw Naya Batraki or Daniela Rivera.
Mr. Mayor, Council President. Oh, the other troops, I'm sorry.
Paige Galley and Abby Gatz.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Tom. On behalf of the Mayor and Council, we want to thank you for all the hard work you've done in supporting the Green Team and their efforts. It takes community involvement. We're glad to see you get started at a nice early age, because community involvement is very important. It builds on things for later in life, and so we're happy that you were able to dedicate time as part of your Girl Scout merit, or whatever they're called, badges. So without any further ado, we have, thank you, Mike. Mayor and Council of the Township of Washington would like to thank Girl Scout Troop 65564 for volunteering their time in the beautification of the Township of Washington. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Thank you. And exactly the same thing, but for Troop 95583. So thank you very much, girls and leaders. We appreciate it.
And the Green Team would like to recognize every girl that participated. So we have a spring pack and a water bottle. You see Patty, there she is over there. on the way out, and she'll give each one of you a pack and a water bottle. Thank you very much for everything you've done for the township.
The press,
Yeah.
maybe somebody can go in front of
Put it together, and I'm going to read it tonight, and then you will put it in letter form for him.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. See Patty on the way out? She'll give you your pack. Thank you. The next presentation,
As is typical.
Bob, would you come up and Scout Troop 228?
Somebody didn't know, and they asked questions.
All right.
It
John Scutches,
happens.
Christian Palmieri, Jake Fagello, Anthony Awad, Nicholas Awad,
Yes.
Fabian Ortega, Benjamin Terzi. There are 4 other scouts that aren't here. It was Con Noyen, Brian Cahill, Andrew Mastroboni, and Liam Mastroboni.
Just a little history. The troop here, along with their parents and some Green Team members, on our cleanup day in April, they removed 423 pounds of glass, cans, bottles, and material. They also removed another 300 and some odd pounds, thanks to the dads, of iron beams, water fountains, and other debris that was up there. This number was verified by the county, and this group, along with the other group that did the water, total of 2,024 pounds removed from Lincoln Park and the streams. So you guys, you did an outstanding job. Great job on cleaning up everything. Ms. Mayor?
Thank you again, Tom. Yes, to repeat what I told the girls just a few moments ago, we appreciate all your efforts and what you did to help us clean up our parks and waterways. Very good job, and sense of community is what it's all about. And so we'll give you this proclamation for Cub Scout Troop 228. The Mayor and Council of the Township of Washington would like to thank Cub Scout Troop 228 for volunteering their time in the beautification of the Township of Washington. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
And guys, also on the way out, please see Patty for your backpack and water bottle. Thank you. Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you, boys. I just want to add another footnote. The Green Team went back to Lincoln Park a couple of weeks ago. We removed another 80 pounds of bottles, tin cans, and other garbage that was dumped down there. So, Green Team and the associates that helped you, thank you very much. Also, on the lakeside, these were all adult volunteers, not all of them, but all of the Roberts family was there. Rodriguez family, I did not get all their complete names, so excuse me at this time. But we will notify you, and acceptable, we'll post you on our Facebook page. So these are the adult volunteers, the high school kids. So thank you. So at this time, I would like to ask Mike Duffy from Stone Mill Gardens to come up here. Thank you. The Green Team is charged with environmental studies and picking businesses out that support the Green Team in our community. So the Township of Washington Green Team awards Stone Mill Gardens the 2018 Environmental Friendly Award for your continuous support of a greener and healthier environment for the citizens of the Township of Washington. Your generous donations and support to the Green Team have contributed to a cleaner township. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you very much. You want? You always want. The second business award that the Green Team was honored to present goes to Nicholas Markets Food Town. And Matt Caravan, you're going to represent Food Town. So, the certificate reads, the Township of Washington Green Team awards Nicholas Markets Food Town for the 2018 Environmental Friendly Award for supporting a cleaner environment in the Township of Washington. Your generous donations and support to our Green Team have contributed to a cleaner township. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you very much. That concludes tonight. Too many pictures. You want to post them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing the Green Team this opportunity.
Thanks, Tom.
Gentlemen, I'm going to return back to the originally scheduled broadcast. The reading of the total bills. Sue, please.
The following is a list of bills paid since the last bill list was submitted representing August 1st, 2018 through August 31st, 2018. Total 2017 reserve, $17,401 even. Total 2018 current, $3,944,030.64. Total capital fund, $35,580.46. Total animal control, $9.60. Total grant fund, $12,154.48. Total trust fund, $54,290.13.
Thank you, Sue.
Sue, I had a couple of questions, Michael.
Sure, Mr. Ullman.
Just going back to last month's report, I had a question about some expenses that were capitalized or charged against the capital account. Was wondering if we had any update on that?
I'm sorry, Mr. Ullman, Mr. Ullman, I wasn't at the previous meeting. Do you have specific ones that you are, and I can look them up for you right now?
Sure. The check was 3337. The PO is 18-00565.
Okay.
So my question is, this was charged against a bond ordinance from 2015. They seem to be sort of repair items. They don't appear to be capital items. And I'm wondering why we're charging a capital ordinance for these items.
How much was it, Mike?
Second.
It's just it's like $850, but I mean, based on what we saw in our pack, it looks like we're going to be bonding for 20 years. So we're going to be paying off this strobe light for 25 years, which seems a bit excessive. On the current, page 3 and page 4, is there a particular reason why our fire department physicals and our police officer physicals are so different in cost? Page 3, the first line. Page 4, it's about 4 lines from the bottom. You know, is someone getting shortchanged? Are they different standards? It seems pretty significant, so,
I will need to look into that, get back to you tomorrow.
okay.
That's the 125 versus the 1,200 you're looking at?
Yes.
I know new police physicals include stress tests, as they're required by the academy, so that does cost a hefty number. I'm not sure why the fire department is actually so cheap.
Okay. On page 6, check 36477, the Prospect Ave manhole monitoring. Do we know what that number represents? Is that an annual fee? Is that a monthly fee? Is it one time?
I will get back to you on that.
Page 6, check 36480, repairs to the senior bus. I'm assuming these were emergency repairs of some type, given that we have a plan to replace it and there's something in our packet today to approve the replacement.
I believe that was done before I got here, but I will, again, check into that.
All right. Page 9, middle of page 36496, Washington Township Baseball, a reimbursement of $2,500.
This was for maintenance that they did on the field. There was an invoice that they paid the bill, and we were able to reimburse them.
Okay, thank you.
Was this Clark Field or Sherry or both?
All the fields.
Both fields?
All the fields.
Which you were, Gardner, Clark?
It was Sherry, Clark, and Gardner.
And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of split the cost on that with the association, right?
All the existing dugouts at all the fields were re-roofed. The roofs were stripped off, plywood was put on, repainted, and we paid the initial outlay, and then the mayor reimbursed us half the money.
Sounds like a good deal for us.
Yes,
How's it look, nice?
if you look, they're all town blue. They look really nice.
Good.
There are a number of expense items on page 11, for instance, 36510. Rehabilitation of Memorial Field is the account. Is that a capital account? Is that an account that was set up for a particular reason? Because there are other line items that have things like Memorial Field or more Parks and Recreation maintenance expense. I'm just trying.
It is not a capital account. It is a current fund account in 28, which is the recreation department.
So if you flip back to page 6, 36478, there's about 8 sprinkler charges. One of them goes to rehabilitation of Memorial Field. The others go to parks and field maintenance.
Different purchase orders.
Are they the same, supporting the same thing?
Yes, this rehabilitation of Memorial Field, if I remember correctly from the last time I was here, that is the maintenance line item for Memorial Field.
Okay, so we have a dedicated line item to monitor expense. Okay, thank you.
I know we do have a separate field just for parks, which you'll see in 36512, and I believe Memorial Field is kept separate.
Supposed to be.
Page 12.
It was $39,000.
36515. Certified playground mulch. It's $1,000. So one, is that for all of our parks?
Yes.
That was all the fields, yes, and with playground mulch, you have to have a certificate of origin of where it comes from. So
Is it,
It's not cheap, unfortunately.
it's not cheap.
Mr. Allman, it was all the playground facilities throughout the township, and I know at Memorial and Clark, for instance, some areas they put in over 12 inches of mulch because it had been neglected for so many years. that, I don't know if you ever noticed the black liner around the edges?
Sure.
They filled it to the top, basically, when they were done. So,
And that's more economical than putting in some type of permanent,
Permanent
padding?
rubberized surface?
yes.
Well, they have the rubber mulch, the rubberized mulch. I think we talked about that back a couple of meetings ago. Is that what you're talking about?
Well,
Permanent
or
rubber.
rubberized surface.
Either a rubberized surface or a rubberized mulch. If you go with the rubberized mulch, it has to be clean rubber. It has, and again, it has to be, you have to know where it's coming from. But
We would
I
spend-
do recall from my previous stint that we were cheap on putting mulch down, so.
This $12,000 was well spent, Mr. Holman.
No, there's no doubt.
Just to give you, the rubber mulch, Bob, would probably cost us about 4 times that amount.
Yeah, you had mentioned at one of the meetings.
And if we did a rubber surface, Mike, we would have to rip everything out, put base down to put that chemical. It's basically a chemical composition. You mix granules with it, and it becomes that rubber mat. But you need a hard surface underneath it. So it's a very high initial cost.
Perhaps
Quite a
we
bit
could
of
look at
engineering.
some of our grants if
Absolutely.
they're available.
I think if you did more routine maintenance I think if we throw a couple thousand at it a year and keep up with it, we wouldn't spend 12,000 buying. I think that was, Mr. Mayor, if I'm not mistaken, that was like 350 yards of mulch. That was
Correct.
Downs came with tandem-sized trailers. They used 2 of them at the Clark.
Okay.
So I think if we throw a little bit at it a year and keep up with it instead of waiting 5-6 years and waiting for the letter from Jeff, we could do a lot better with that.
Yeah, and also some of it does wash away in our storms also, so we'd rather go with the less expensive if it's going to wash away.
We did quite well this year on the erosion problem
Yes.
at Memorial because there was a lot more vegetation cover on that field.
Correct.
Page 12, 36521, the scheduling software, has that, it looks like it's purchased, has that been put in place, or they,
It is installed, it's currently being programmed, that's been programmed by the police department.
So it is here, Mr. Cavallo?
My understanding it is here, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of one-time setup to be done in it before they can actually
Okay.
use it. That's
But
what they're
it
working on now.
physically-
It is installed.
36523, all the rim sensors and the tires, I guess, are those, do you know if those are tires, are they wear items? Or are they warranted items, the sensors for the, I'm assuming those are sensors?
Tires, sensors, and rims are not warranty items on these vehicles. Once you're out of your 1 year on these Fords, you're not covered under warranty.
Okay. Just a couple more. Page 16 and 17. I know this may not be a one-for-one, but yard debris and brush disposal fees. Mike had asked about a grinder, a tub grinder, to sort of reduce the volume that we're shipping out and hopefully reduce the overall disposal fees. I guess we get charged by the yard, not by weight. So are we going to look into that, or have we?
The DMF is looking to get prices on both that and a chipper for us to put in our budget for next year.
Okay. The last two, just a general question for the rec programs. Why do some run through direct expense and some run through trust?
That was due to the unexpected increase in summer rec registration. We needed to, in order to pay for it, when we didn't have it in the budget, we had to take it out of the rec trust. So money came in and we expended it right away.
Okay.
Instead of rolling it to the current fund, we rolled it to trust. If we rolled it over to current fund, it would come in as expected revenue. We rolled in the extra revenue over to the rec trust, and we're able to pay the expense directly out of the rec trust. it's a way of avoiding having to do a budget emergency for not having the expense in the budget.
Okay, thank you. And the last question, so we have the settlement for the town hall, and, you know, there's $9,300 for new doors or restoration of the front doors to town hall. There's $13,000 for new doors for the police department. There's $11,000 for 2 5-ton central air units. So those would be things that I would expect to be charged against that insurance settlement. And I don't, you know, it's just, it just caught my eye. Why are we running a $150 security camera repair through that? Right? I mean, are we like down to nickels and dimes in the account and we're just trying to expense everything? Check page 24, check 8419.
Mr. Ullman, I am not sure about that. That purchase order was cut before I got here
Okay, I mean,
by the previous administrator.
you know, I think we're making good use of it, but I don't know if we should be doing small repairs against that settlement if we have larger items. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Anybody else?
I just have...
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah, just a few questions. On page 21, we have a capital fund, general capital fund for 3341. There's two amounts, 1150 and 5399. What was this for the DMF site? What did we do here?
Ken, that's the Quest bill.
What's that?
The Quest bill? Yeah.
Quest.
That's for Quest. Environmental, that's for the environmental monitoring as part of their proposal.
So I thought we had budgeted in 18 for Quest also. So was this a leftover or this a general capital fund that we found?
So we're still working off a previous proposal that's been charged to the old ordinance. I believe Quest is coming to the next meeting.
Yes.
Correct, yes.
To give us their next phase of proposals. That'll be charged to the current
Okay.
capital projects.
Okay, and also on page 24, on the engineering, there's some amount, very tiny amount, but it's from 2013. It's under 8421, 13-01073. So do we still have leftovers that we're paying the engineer from ordinances or work that was done in 13 that he's doing now? Or why are we doing a 13?
Yes, there are outstanding bills, and Mr. President, I do have I need to discuss that with the council under executive session.
This is an outstanding bill?
We'll discuss it in close, Mr. Bruno.
No, I know. I'm just saying, is this an outstanding bill that we're paying? I'm not asking to discuss
Which
it
one
now.
are we?
The one,
The 13-01073 on page 24.
Right,
Under
okay, so that actually,
8421.
that actually there is a planning and zoning application. So this must be, it's actually being charged to an escrow. When an escrow, when a project is started here, whether it starts this year or next, if it starts this year, we're gonna open up the escrow for the amount that the engineer asked for as a full purchase order in 2013. So, or in 18. And we'll continue to charge that same purchase order through the entire project. When the project is actually closed out and we return their money, you'll actually see that the final payment will be out of the original purchase order. So that purchase order could be
Something from
Up.
2013.
something from 13. It can be up to 10 years old when we purge records out of it.
Okay. The only comment I have on the mulch, which I think it looked very, very nice on all the fields, but, obviously when the kids play, they create a hole underneath the swings. And I drove by, I guess last week, and there was a huge, hole because of them hitting the ground. So I think, we should the DMF's got to just re-rake everything so that you don't have this mud hole.
Thank you, Mr.
Just a
Bruno.
comment. Thank you.
Anything else, Dr. Cassidy?
No, not for myself.
Mr. Cumming, anything on the?
No, sir, thank you.
Moving along, approval of the minutes, May 7, 2018, regular meeting minutes, the May 7, 2018 conference meeting minutes, the May 21st regular meeting minutes, the May 21st conference meeting minutes, the June 6, 2018 regular meeting minutes, the June 6, 2018 conference meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. The report of the mayor?
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to the meeting. I'd like to take this opportunity this month to recap what's been accomplished in town over the last 8 months. In no particular order. Shared services. We executed an agreement with Ridgewood for vehicle repair and maintenance. The fire department and DMF have taken advantage of the agreement and report that it's working out well. We are looking at other shared services agreements that I'll be updating the council on in our closed session. Staffing and equipment. Morale among the staff is at an all-time high. We recently made a couple of new full-time hires. We hired a new part-time code enforcement official in July. At the time, he expressed an interest in working full-time. When the rec coordinator left, we remembered that he had prior rec experience on his resume. We combined the 2 part-time positions into 1 full-time position, and he started being the rec coordinator position today. We also combined the part-time positions of payroll clerk and purchasing assistant into 1 full-time position. That person is starting on December 15th. Joy Apar has moved to the positions of tax collector and deputy treasurer. We are looking into altering the hours that some of the departments operate under to better serve our residents. All employees have been supplied with new computer workstations, thereby increasing their efficiency. New senior bus. One of the resolutions on tonight's agenda for the council to approve is the purchase of the new senior bus. Grants. We put out an RFP for grant writing services. Unfortunately, none of them met our needs. We'll be going out for proposals again shortly. Rec programs and facilities. We added an additional week to our summer rec program and are proactively looking to enhance next year's program by partnering with another organization. Due to interest expressed by both parents and children, we added a new Pee Wee cheerleading program. Memorial Field looks great this year thanks to the proper care and maintenance. With assistance from grants received, we will be resurfacing and upgrading the basketball courts at both Memorial Field and Gardner Park. Concerts and movies. Our first 2 concerts were a huge success. The weather then chose not to cooperate for our remaining events. Our movie night had to be rescheduled to August 24th, and we have 2 new dates for the concerts that had to be postponed. The oldies band Jersey Sound will be performing this Friday, September 7th, weather permitting, and the country band Radio Nashville will be performing on October 5th, the day before our Fall Festival Town Day. I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible at these upcoming events. Police Department. The new scheduling software they wanted has been ordered and will be operational shortly. This will assist the entire department in scheduling their manpower more efficiently. Starting October 1st, the dispatch desk will be staffed by 4 full-time civilian employees. These 2 things should reduce overtime and put more of the police where they belong, patrolling our streets. The department has upgraded and acquired additional active shooter equipment to go along with their continued training. We'll be ordering 2 new 2019 vehicles later this month to replace the older vehicles. Fire Department. The department has taken delivery of their long overdue Scott Pack bottles, as most of them were at their mandated end of life. These bottles contain the oxygen needed for them to enter a fire. They are also in the process of updating their software that, among other things, will allow them to provide the correct statistics when applying for grants. Ambulance Corps. They took delivery of their new ambulance a few months ago. It's a state-of-the-art 4-wheel drive vehicle that will serve them and our residents and our neighboring towns for many years to come. Fire Department and Ambulance Corps combined. The Ambulance Corps voted and decided to move into a new state-of-the-art building along with the Fire Department.
The preliminary study is done, and we now have to approve the funding for the project to move on to the next phase. DMF. We resurrected a study that was done in 2017 for the space requirements needed in a new building. Both they and Town Hall have run out of space for their current and future requirements. Therefore, we're looking at alternative locations to construct a new building. This will enable us to provide more parking spots at Town Hall, including additional handicap spaces to be used by people and groups who visit the building and use its facilities. Intersection of Pascack and Washington. Council President DeSena will give an update on it, but I just want to remind the residents that we had everything the county requested of us to them by March 31st for them to take the project to the next phase. We're all committed to this project and anxiously look forward to working with the county to see it through to completion. Signs. We had an internal meeting regarding signs with representatives from police, DMF, and the Green Team. We are meeting with the salesperson from the sign company next week to get actual costs of the signs, to see where and how many signs we will be deploying this year. Commuter parking. Additional spaces have been procured, and the current permit holders were advised about the use of them. Town Hall. We've made many improvements to the building. New floors, doors, shutters, and paint. We're looking into moving some of the offices around to put similar departments closer to each other for internal and visitor efficiency. 2018 roads resurfacing program. The weather hasn't cooperated in this area either. Because of the wet summer we had, the contractor is behind schedule. Weather permitting, concrete work will commence on September 16th, milling will start on October 5th, and paving will start on October 8th. Unlike previous years, milling will be done curb to curb instead of just at the curb lines. This will give the roads a longer service life. Planning Board. The board has approved an agreement to update and bring the town's master plan document current. The board also has a long dormant housing project off of Van Emberg Ave that was approved about 15 years ago coming before it again. Tree removal. Just like a lot of homeowners were hit hard with downed trees from storms and other events, so was the township on its properties. The budget for tree removal for this year has already been fully spent. We will need a budget transfer in this area in November. Curbside recycling. We are trying to get representatives from both our hauler, Buildo Sanitation, and our recycling processor, Waste Management, to come in to give us a joint presentation as to what's allowed and what's not allowed. It will be filmed by WCTV and posted to YouTube and periodically looped on our WCTV channel. Green Team. The Green Team has made tremendous progress in a short time. Some examples are doing cleanups of our parks and the banks of our waterways, starting a community garden, and placing bike racks in the community. As you saw by the children here this evening, everyone can make a difference in taking care of our community and the planet's natural resources. Please support the team in their future projects. Capital projects. Without going into detail on each project, all of them are underway in some form. As you can see, a lot of positive things have been taking place to move the township forward during the past 8 months. I'm proud to have brought the many people together required to make these things happen. I'd like to thank those on the council and the residents who have volunteered their time to make this progress possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This time, report of the council. Mr. Ullman?
Thank you, Michael. I'll just be brief. Just a reminder that schools have opened this week. You should be aware. Leave a few minutes early if you can, and slow down. We have a lot of kids on the streets and want to avoid any incidents. Also like to remind people that on October 23rd, 24th, and 25th, the Bergen County Clerk is going to bring a temporary satellite office to the Township of Washington. One of the primary things that they'll be doing is processing passport applications. There are some other things that they can assist you with, such as vote by mail ballots, doing notary services, as well as granting peddler's licenses. The other thing is Mr. Hogan sent out a glossy About voter registration, I would strongly recommend that if you are not registered, that you get registered. It's important. It's something that many people have fought and died for, and it is something that you should take advantage of. It's something that we're very lucky living in the United States to be able to have that opportunity. So I would strongly recommend that you register if you can. And I think that would be it. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Cumming?
Yes, sir. At this time, I'd like to take the opportunity to answer the letter that we got from
Senator Cardinale?
Senator.
I would appreciate that
Cardinale?
very much if you would respond to that.
Could I do it at this time?
Yes,
know it's
you
on-
can.
I know it's on the conference.
Oh, it's on conference agenda, so you want to wait till
Why
that?
don't I do it now while we're...
You want to do it now? Go ahead,
If that's all
Mr.
right?
Feel free.
Okay.
I hope you're watching, Mr. Cardinale.
We all got a letter from Dr. Gerald Cardinale, our senator, our friend, our mentor, my mentor, to the Honorable Susan Witkowski and myself.
The whole council got it.
The whole council
We all
got
got
it. Some constituents have called to I'm reading his letter now. Some constituents have called to my attention that the athletic fields are regularly being sprayed with substances that in some instances are toxic to users of the field for a period of usually 72 hours post-spraying according to manufacturer instruction. His wording, not exactly mine. I'm not missing things. I'm reading it word for word. They have further suggested that flags placed for spraying often do not specify the date of the spraying or the date when it's safe to resume playing the field. This letter is being directed to you so as to alert you to the potential risks children in particular and adults as well may inadvertently be experiencing. While I am contemplating legislation of this subject, I will take some time to fully implement, so a word to the wise is, I believe, a good step for local consideration. We appreciate his letter very, very much. We are going to answer it, and the answer is as follows. And we'll go out to him directly, and with all goodwill and gratefulness for his communication to us. Dear Senator Dr. Cardinale, thank you for expressing your concern for the residents of Washington Township. The health and safety of our residents is always our first priority and biggest concern. Unfortunately, I believe you have been misinformed and have been told false and misleading information. Not all my words, but they tell the story. Number one, the constituents who told you that the fields were being sprayed regularly did not have all of the facts. The fields have only been sprayed for weeds once this season. Number two, they also do not have the facts correct regarding the manufacturer's label. Products that require a 72-hour manufacturer's post-spraying restriction were not used, were not applied. Number three, regarding the posting of the flags, you were also misled. According to the NJDEP, the flag postings are not required to have the time and the date. Let me add a postscript, and this is mine. I asked him to put labels on the flags indicating the name of the company, the pesticide applicator number, as required by the state of New Jersey, because of my training and experience in this, and also the time and the duration. Those flags are already marked that are put on the field by the company, voluntary, way over and above the requirements of the DEP. I would no sooner leave a poison on the field for any children, let alone my grandchildren who also use the fields. God forbid. We we are over and above and beyond the minimum requirements, codes. So we're doing everything we can for the citizens and the children. And this has been my campaign promise, and this has been more than fulfilled since we had the debate at the high school. If you want to review the last 3 minutes of that tape, I promised you I would work hard for you, and we all, under the mayor's guidance and tutelage, continue to work hard for you and bring the town forward. It says, following turf care guidelines created by Rutgers, we have decided to implement an integrated pest management lawn care program. The first thing we realized was that the weed population threshold was so high that we needed to take action. We decided to spray the weeds once so that we could decrease the population. We then followed with a core aeration and seeding to revitalize the turf. Again, we were only following the recommendations set forth by Rutgers regarding maintenance of a high-traffic athletic field. Let me go back, I skipped a paragraph. Starting in spring 2018, we decided to make a conscious effort in improving the playing surface of our athletic fields. Over the last couple of years, the fields have been neglected and they've become full of weeds. The weed infestation has overtaken the grass and has created a very poor and unsafe playing surface. The poor playing surface is dangerous to our children and has become a liability to our community. According to Rutgers, our state university, a healthy turf provides a much safer environment for athletes and reduces injuries. That's why we have had the progressive, and aggressive program described below. I hope that this was not too much, and I hope I did not bore you. Thank you very much for allowing me to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Cumming. Mr. Bruno?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Art. That was much nicely worded, probably much better than I would have worded it. Yeah, I do think it's interesting when we receive these letters from the politicians, and I drive around town and I see their green signs with their names, you know, which I think is comical. As they go through the intersections we go through, I've sent emails to these folks asking for help, no response, but yet they do respond to some chemicals on the field, so maybe this will help get their priorities with the town. That would be great. I just wanted to mention to the Green Team also, Lincoln Park actually is behind my house, so great news. I will actually take a walk back there. I was always afraid to walk back there, but it is a nice area and probably one of the most secrets in town. The council and the mayor and the police department and several other organizations received a letter, and it was anonymous. I'm not going to read it, but it was about drug use in town, and it was very, very pointed, and it was, I believe, from the senior team. I'm not sure because it's hard to say where it really came from, but I did reach out to the mayor and to the chief, who I believe is on vacation, and I will try and set up a meeting. I just didn't have any time this weekend. It's a very disturbing letter to read what was written. You know, we come up here and try and put ordinances against vape shops, and to see this kind of letter was disturbing. So I don't know if they're watching, but if you are, I will follow up and see what the deal is with the letter. Thank you.
Mr. Bruno, just so you know, when that letter was given to me, I immediately forwarded it to the chief, and the
Good.
mayor had done so already. He is working on a response to us.
Yeah, it's a very pointed letter. So.
It is a very pointed letter and disturbing letter, just as, you know, the police department doing a great job catching the graffiti culprits, which is another great thing. So they're trying their hardest. Dr. Cassio?
Thank you, Mr. President. Not a lot to add. The mayor's kind of went down the list of the progress we have made in 8 months, and I want to thank the mayor and the rest of the council for all their hard work, as well as our attorney and our previous administrator and our, well, ex-back, I don't know what to call Matt. He's been here, he's been away, he's back. Interim, okay, interim. But I think everyone's doing a great job, and again, as Mr. Arnold said, school is open. Please drive very cautiously, and I want to hope the children have a great school year and everyone else has a great spring. We had a very, very interesting summer, hot, wet, sticky, muggy. So hopefully we have a nice fall coming up for our fall activities. You know, we have football and cheerleading. No one really likes to be in the rain and the heat when you play football or soccer in the fall. So hopefully it's great weather from now on. So, and everyone remains safe, and that's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Cassio. Very quickly, I just want to commend everybody up on the dais for the hard work and their effort that they're putting into this 2018 year. I think we've all done a great job. You know, let's keep it up. 2 quick things. Fight the Flu, the 2018 flu clinic will be held on Tuesday, September 25th at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Jack Wood Senior Center here in this building by the Township and the Northwest Bergen Regional Health Commission. For more information, please call the Borough Clerk, but it will be Tuesday, September 25th, 2018. Is there a fee for this, Sue?
It's going to go through their insurance.
Okay, they'll go through your insurance. Also, there'll be a free rabies vaccination program Saturday, November 3rd, 2018 from 9 to 10:30 a.m. at the DMF building at 350 Hudson Avenue. Dogs must be on leashes, non-retractable, and cats must be in carriers. Both dogs and cats are welcome at any time. Residents from any municipality are welcome to bring their pets to the program. That's all I have, gentlemen. Do I have a motion to open the meeting up to the general public?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Cassio?
Yes.
Councilman Cummings?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Would anybody like to come up and address the council at this
No,
time? Mrs. Grimaldi?
Would you like a letter?
Diane Grimaldi, 441 Van Emberg Avenue. I hope everybody was able to see my email and the forwards that I sent from Green Acres. I was going to go to the planning board tomorrow night, but I understand there's no meeting tomorrow night. And so I'm coming here in front of you guys to, well, just as a background, my property is adjacent to the Van Emberg, to Mr. Viviano's property, which will have 78 homes. Once it's developed, we'll have 78 homes. When I went to the planning board meeting last month, 2 things were brought up. One was the pumping station, which could be a problem according to the engineer. And the other thing was emergency access, being that there's only one way in and out, which would be Van Emberg. So I got to thinking, we have Kennedy Park below, and it's Green Acres land. And so I wrote to Green Acres asking if they ever did land swaps. And as my forward said, they do consider them from time to time. It's unusual, but if it's for the betterment of the community and for safety reasons, there is a formula that they use. And I thought, well, we could have a gravity fed, as our engineer said, the town likes that much, much better. Everybody likes that much better. A gravity fed sewer line going to the end of Kennedy Drive. And just an emergency access road going, again, if we could buy that little bit of Green Acres land on Kennedy, in Kennedy Park, not the whole thing, and have an emergency access.
Mrs. Grimaldi, I'm not going to take your time away on this. I asked both those questions and was told that both were not feasible.
The Green Acres, they were looking to put the sewer line through Green Acres.
Correct, and we were told no.
No. And she's talking about a simple land swap. She's not talking about putting the
Right,
land.
well, Green Acres said that we can swap the land. We can buy, or the
Different
developer
definition.
can buy a portion of that land And in place of that, Green Acres insists that you buy another piece of land that they sanction. I believe in their formula, it's twice as much land. And so then I was thinking, well, the lower portion of the swim club, I know the swim club's in a whole lot of trouble, monetarily, and if we were to possibly buy that bit of land from them, that portion of land, perhaps somewhere down the road, a practice field could be built or nothing can be built, but it would be, we'd have to ask Green Acres, but it would be possible that it would be a win for the new development, it'd be a win for the swim club, and personally, it's going to be next door to me anyway. I'd like to see as few problems as possible, and I just thought, well, while I have this idea in my head, I would write Green Acres, and they said it's unusual, but it's not impossible. And before this takes wings and goes any further, I was hoping the mayor and council could look at this and perhaps see if it's something that can be done for the development.
Diane, one question. When they said a land swap, you have to purchase the land and buy twice as much area, okay?
Right.
Does it have to be in the municipality? It can be
Yes, it
outside?
has to be in the municipality.
Okay.
Yes. We're very specific.
There's nice acreage up in Sussex County we could buy.
No, it's got to be deed restricted also. Right, Mrs. Gilmore?
Pardon me?
It would have to be deed restricted, the
It would have
land
to-
we're buying.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, it was a thought. I followed up as much as I possibly could. I actually waited to send you this because I was hoping to get an engineer to let me know whether or not how much, if any, of the land at the swim club was wetlands, but I wasn't able to get that information in time, and like I said, time is of the essence because they're going to be here at the end of September, and I think our planning board, their hands are very tied, from what I heard from the meeting that I went to. They're not going to be able to change anything according to what I understand. And so the mayor and council are the only people that can do anything. And like I said, I think this would be a huge improvement. We've waited 15 years. If it takes 18 months for this whole thing to come together, so be it. I think it's for the betterment of the community, and God forbid a house goes on fire that's near my house, I want to know that the fire department can get in and out.
But
So
don't we
yes,
have-
I do benefit from it.
But don't we have other places in town that have one means of egress?
Absolutely. But why do we continue to repeat things that could be dangerous?
I was just asking.
Yeah.
Because I believe all the townhouses.
Yes. But there's a possibility that we can take away the pumping station
And
and
who would
also
pay?
have...
Who would pay for the land acquisition? Would we expect the developer to do that?
I haven't worked anything out with the developer or the town. or
No, I'm
anybody.
just
I
curious.
came up with
That's
an
one thing
idea.
I was going to ask at the planning board session was, should we research this further? Who would pay for that land swap, and like that. So it's something that I was going to bring up at the planning board session.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
that's it.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yes, Mrs. Blakemore.
Tony Plantamura, 808 Robinwood Road. I'm probably not going to get to talk about what I came here for because I need to comment about a couple of things I heard here tonight. I played in those woods that Ms. Grimaldi lives right, those woods that are in back of her when I was a kid. We actually used to play cowboys and Indians. I was a tomboy. And we talk about the environment and we talk about saving things, but I think it's a disaster how this state cannot save any parcels of land anymore, because really what it's about is the almighty dollar. So here we go again. We have some land left in this township, and we're going to develop it. And I know it's been a struggle. Years they've been trying to not do this here. I just want you to know that even the Parkway wasn't even built when I was here, and we used to play in the Parkway. All the houses on Jackson Avenue weren't built, and it's just development after development after development. But we all talk the good talk about the environment, but really what it comes down to is the almighty dollar. It's always about paying for services that we no longer can afford. So we try and come up with new ways in order to filter all that money into the services. Also, Lincoln Park, I was in the Girl Scouts years ago, and Lincoln Park, we used to have campfires there and sleepovers. So for all the parents who are Girl Scout leaders now and all the little kids that aren't allowed to do campfires anymore or sleep over in the woods because it's too dangerous, everything is sad to me, the way things develop. So I want to get back to the share services. I'm glad to see you hired civilian dispatchers, but I really think that the township should really consider combining share services with other towns. I don't know what it's going to take the state of New Jersey to realize that somewhere along the line, somebody has to start sharing services. We will no longer be able to afford this very expensive form of home rule in this state. The fire department, I read in the paper, I kind of was floored that I think, if I'm correct, it's going to cost about $5 million to shore up that building. Did anybody ever talk to another department to see if we can combine with Woodcliff Lake, Hillsdale, Westwood? Why do we all need everything individual to pay for all this stuff when nobody really thinks about sharing services? Because we're supposed to be communities sharing the environment, but really what it comes down to is, to me, it's all about home rule and feeding what we have when we realize down the road we are no longer going to be able to afford this stuff. And we don't even know what's going to happen with the new federal government restrictions on how much you can deduct with your property taxes. I think it's a Band-Aid on the problem. It always is, unless we go forward and share services. And I do want to tell the council, I'm a little disappointed in the council. We talked about changing the form of government over 2 years ago, and so far nothing's been done. So I'd like to bring to the attention of the current council that when some of you got on the council 2 years ago, we had talked about doing that, and to this day, here it is 2 years later, and we still don't have anything going forward as far as I know. I might be out of the loop about changing the form of government, and I really thought it was a campaign promise. So I'd like you to do something about that. The other thing, too, I just want to mention is this is no fault of the township, but all this development, I am so frustrated lately living in this state. I actually thought for the first time in my life that I might have to consider moving. I cannot stand how long it takes me and other residents, we talk about it all the time, everybody talks about it, how long it takes to traverse the roads in this state. It is mind-blowing to me that there is no grand plan at the county or state level of where you're going to put all this development that's going on. And a lot of it, we know, is to rectify the quota on the low-income housing. So I pay a lot of taxes along with everybody else that lives in this state, and they're building all this new development, but they're not building any new roads. So you're going to have a new development maybe up on Van Emberg Avenue. So here we go, more traffic to get on the roads. And then, of course, Woodcliff Lake, Montvale, nobody's come up with a grand plan of coming up with a new exit off of the Parkway. So all that stuff is going to get stuffed. And I really do believe, and I really believe that you should not do anything with our intersection until you have some kind of promise that you will do something somebody should do something about making a new exit off of the Parkway, because all that traffic. Montvale's developing. I don't know if anybody pays attention. It is unbelievable what's going on in Montvale and Woodcliff Lake. Where is that traffic going?
1 minute.
So it's just frustrating, and I just wanted to ask the council if there's any kind of attempt or anything you can do about joining forces with other state leaders and county leaders and municipalities about doing something about stopping this overdevelopment, because I can't get him. It takes me sometimes 10 minutes to get out of my business on Kinnicamack Road to get to Ackerman Avenue to make a left to go up Ackerman Avenue to come home. 10 minutes. That is uncalled for. What am I paying taxes for? It is just so frustrating to live in this state now. There is no quality of life. Nobody's really doing anything about the grand plan of what you're going to do with all this overdevelopment, and ultimately it's all about the money and continuing the services we have when we should share services to save the quality of life for the people that live in this state, because I'm tired of it. I'm really getting tired of it. So if any of you can think of something, I'd really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do I have your permission to respond?
Just take the grounds.
I think the quality of life here in Bergen County is way above average.
I know.
And I will admit that I remember when there were celery fields on the left and right side of Route 17 in Paramus going up through the villa, I can't remember the name of it, by Midland Avenue. I remember a lot of things from when I was a child in the old days, because I grew up, and I'm almost semi-ashamed to say, in Saddle River, which was not very built up, as the Lincoln Park area is not very built up. We have to sacrifice some things for the good of the populace that is here. We have to accept change gracefully, and there are many new cultures, new people bringing many new talents that are moving into our township and our area. As a minor aside, one way in and one way out of a development, I'll call it that, which is my North Gate, there's one way in and one way out, has, and I've been told, and have it on good authority, since I see one of our police, a very handsome one, sitting in the back row, that we have a non-existent crime rate, except for illness calls, as they may be. Nothing ever happens because of the limited accents, and it is posted. No parking on the streets so that the fire trucks can make the turns. We live like princes and princesses of the realm in this day and age in this county. I am old enough and yet young enough that I remember before there were playing records and when Edison developed the cylinder. We live in such a wonderful world in the past few years that I celebrate the accomplishments of the human world. And yes, we have to put up with some things. Remember, Joe Sanzari built 4 and 17 intersection in record time, and it made a huge improvement in our traffic. He's a Hohokus resident, I believe. And if we push for the right things, and you're on the right track, you're all on the right track. If we push for the right things, I think we can improve our quality of life. But you can get anything you want, and you have the best health care in the world. I was to a 4th quality station, not 3rd, but 4th, last week on vacation. I was in a Marriott. Outside of the Marriott, the people lived in such squalor. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
I came back with a new vision, an epiphany. We don't know how good we have it here. And I'm grateful to live where and when I live. And I'm grateful to bring the things I bring to this town.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
I brought in a multi-million-dollar grant, and we're meeting this week because I was unavailable last week. and the mayor asked that I join. I was pleased that the mayor would ask that I would join the crew, because I know something about the mechanicals.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me for taking extra time.
It's okay.
I apologize to you.
Just two quick things. The change of the form of government has been on the agenda for the last two meetings. We've discussed it. We will discuss it again tonight. I know the 171 issue is near and dear to your heart. We can both go meet with the Turnpike Commissioner and get the same answer I received 4 years ago when I asked, because I know it's still the same answer. To get Woodcliff Lake to put it on a referendum to open it is never going to happen. And to get the county, Woodcliff Lake, the Turnpike to agree to find property to build another exit is another impossibility.
No right turn coming off of exit 168.
The Department
No right turn.
We can't do that.
The Commissioner of Transportation won't approve it.
No, we can't do that. And then how would that help out?
It'd be a great way to get even.
Yeah, well,
We tried, but we can't enact
we can't do it. So let's move on. Ordinances.
But I think
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyone else?
Who else would like to come up and address the council? Nothing tonight, right? Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Seeing nobody, to have a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Ordinances. We're going to move ordinance 1811 into close, gentlemen.
Okay.
That's what Dr. Cassidy.
Yeah, I requested to close because there could be pending litigation with it.
Yes.
Why?
Dr. Casio feels there might be pending litigation with it, so we're going to move it to close.
Discussion?
What's that?
Discuss.
To discuss,
Discuss,
yes,
yeah.
to discuss and closed.
You'll have to find it.
Ordinance number 18-12, an ordinance of the Township of Washington, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Article 6 entitled Class AA District of the Township of Washington zoning ordinance, establishing the requirements for an inclusionary multifamily affordable housing overlay district in accordance with the adopted housing plan element and fair share plan of the Township of Washington. Do I have a motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 1812 at first reading by title?
So moved.
Second. Can you just go through this again? Which one is this now? What's the deal?
This is ordinance 18-12.
Yeah.
It's creating the affordable housing overlay districts in accordance with the adopted housing plan element and the fair share plan by the court master, right, Mr.
Yeah.
Hall?
This is a.
This what we approved already?
This is a this ordinance was already passed.
Right.
This is just the updated version because of the change with the wetlands and the adjustment to the site. We came in,
Right.
the plan was modified as a result. Some of the bulk numbers had to change and so forth. It's now gone through our planner, T&M. It's gone through the
Court master?
the applicant, Franklin, and it's been approved by the court master. So it's ready to go, and, you know, it's
Let's do it.
to be introduced, and then goes to the planning board for its recommendation, and then back to here for
The public
the
hearing.
hearing.
Okay.
Do I have roll call, please?
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Resolution 18-299, authorizing publication of ordinance number 18-12 and scheduling the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Ordinance number 18-13, an ordinance adopting a codification and revision of the ordinances of the Township of Washington, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, providing for the maintenance of said code, repealing and saving from repeal certain ordinances not included therein, establishing a penalty for altering or tampering with the code, and making certain changes in previously adopted ordinances. Motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 18-13 at first reading by title.
Motion.
Mr. Bruno?
Motion.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
And this, just so, Ken, this is the final codification now, we're done?
Yes.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Resolution 18-300, authorizing publication of ordinance number 18-13 and scheduling a public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Individual resolutions, none. Under consent agenda.
Mike,
Yes,
can
Mr.
we go
Owen.
back to 1811?
1811, yes.
So this is a proposal for amending our code for driveways.
Yes.
And we can't have this discussion in public?
Dr. Casio has asked that it goes to Mr. Pollak.
But he said there's litigation,
It could be possible litigation.
in which case,
Well, then everything should be under the cloak
You're
of...
talking about pending something that's
So let's,
imminent?
should we
Yeah,
discuss?
if you
No,
want,
it's not, no.
you want to discuss it now, I have no problem with
I
it.
mean, is there a pending litigation suit?
No, not that we know of, right, Dr. Casio?
Potential, I feel. But that's, if you want to put it back, I'm fine with it, Mr. Ullman. I have no problem.
Let's go back to ordinance number 18-11, introduction and first reading.
You know what you could do? You could push that to the conference session and just discuss it at the conference session.
We're still open.
Huh? No, it's open, but what I'm...
Steve, I think I know what you're talking about. Can we pass and authorize the publication, but then discuss it in closed?
No, you can't discuss this stuff.
My
As
question
a
is,
pending lawsuit, that might be, I know what you're referring
any
to.
ordinance we undertake is a potential litigation. I mean, well,
If the issue's already happened, and we change the ordinance, the issue's probably going to be grandfathered by this ordinance. So that person's not going to be,
Let's,
the issue could not be affected.
Listen, if you want to do it, Mike, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Mr. Council
You're
President,
the attorney, so...
there are improvements that could be made in the wording.
But at this time,
Let me make a recommendation.
Hold on.
I'm
My
sorry.
recommendation
You go.
is put this in on conference and let me address it when the conference discussion comes up, all right?
Okay.
Let's just do it that way.
Good enough.
And then you can always, since
enough.
we're still open, you can still go back to it, right?
so we're going to move 1811 to open conference. Mr. Ullman, is that okay?
okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Consent agenda. All of the following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda.
Bless you.
Resolution 18-277, authorized refund of recreation fees, Elena Pinto, $50. 18-278, authorized refund of recreation fees, Maria Polaro, $40. 18-279, authorized refund of recreation fees, Anita Dakic, $40. Resolution 18-281, authorized refund of recreation fees, Michelle Collis, $20. Resolution 18-283, authorized refund of recreation fees, Nicole Murad, $80. Resolution 18-284, authorized refund of recreation fees, Kimberly Riley, $40. 18-286, authorized refund of recreation fees to Westwood Recreation, $1,510. Resolution 18-287, authorized refund of recreation fees, Jeff Apostle, $165. Resolution 18-288, authorized refund of recreation fees, Dana Egbert, $165. Resolution, gentlemen, can we? Resolution 18-290, authorized refund, engineering escrow, block 4310, lot 20, 403 Walnut Street, $853. Resolution 18-291, authorized refund, escrow money, block 2209, lot 12, 799 Sycamore Lane, $713. Resolution 18-292, authorized refund, escrow money, block 2407, lot 40, 268 Coolidge Avenue, $587.50. Resolution 18-293, authorize refund escrow money, Block 3601.1, Lot 1, 206 Highview Terrace, $587.50. Resolution 18-294, proposed rate increases by Suez Water. Resolution 18-295, authorize refund of taxes due to appeal, Block 3407, Lot 14, 94 Sussex Road, $720.68. Resolution 18-296, authorize canceling unencumbered balances of grant appropriations reserves. Resolution 18-297, authorize award of contract for 16 passenger bus plus 2 handicap passenger Ford E450 shuttle bus. Resolution 18-301, authorize refund escrow money, Block 4414, Lot 25, 183 Fern Street, $664. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have well, does somebody want a second?
Second.
So may I just,
I have a question also, Mr. Bruno.
okay, you want to go, you can go.
Mr. Cavallo, why are we, I understand that Pee Wee football has been canceled due to lack of participation.
So since
How come we're refunding, we're taking the money we took in from the parents that agree they're going to play for Westwood. But I'm worried about the liability of us giving them the check and them not going on Community Pass and registering them through the Westwood community system and giving them the money directly.
So it was already worked out with Westwood and with the parents. Westwood's fee is actually higher than ours, so the parents have to pay an additional fee to Westwood on top of it. Since our refund process takes so long, we made an agreement with Westwood that we would pay them the fees that were paid directly to us. The parents would only owe the delta, so that they didn't have to outlay the entire amount to Westwood and wait for our money, which in some cases were.
But they're still going to go on their Community Pass and register them
They're going to be registered
through Westwood
through
and
Westwood.
unregistered from us.
Correct.
Thank you.
They've actually already been unregistered through us.
Okay.
Can you pull 294, 96, and 97?
294, 96, and 97?
Yes, please.
Sure. Mr. Bruno, anything else?
No, I didn't have 294, but I had the other two. I just want to know on 296, is that costing us any money? To cancel these?
286?
No,
296.
The grant receivables, is this costing us any money that we have to pay off to cancel it, or?
No.
Huh?
Those are money sitting in the grant fund that we canceled the fund balance.
What does that mean?
Grants that were received, and either they were received and put in the grant fund because they were not charged against the expense, or they were grants that were received and not spent.
So so the $54,000, it's possible that we were granted $54,000 and we didn't find a use for those funds?
So what happens in a lot of these cases is, and I'll give an example, alcohol education and rehab, or over the limit under arrest. Those are reimbursement grants where the money was expended by us. The vouchers or the grant reimbursements were sent to the issuing agencies. The money came back to us and it was applied to the grant fund. It wasn't applied to, instead of being applied to the grant fund and canceled, it was just applied to the grant fund and left there. Where the money should have come in been applied to the grant as applied to the receivable and then canceled.
So do we have receivables, I guess is my question?
We do have outstanding receivables, but not for these. And that'll be a resolution for the next meeting.
To write them off? To write the receivables off?
There's receivables that shouldn't be there. One of them being an outstanding $20,000 receivable for the Laura.
Municipal Alliance.
Municipal Alliance. We get a certain amount of money allotted to us by the state. That is a reimbursement grant. We only get paid what we spend. In previous years, those amounts weren't spent for what reason or another, and now it's an outstanding receivable on the books because we expected to receive it, but we didn't.
So then 20,000 of the 54 goes against the receivable to write it off, similar to the 180,000 we had to do months ago?
What?
How are we gonna write the 20,000 off? We have to write it off somewhere, right?
It gets it gets written off the books.
No, I
There's
understand
a
that.
receivable for it on the books.
Right, but we don't get the receivable, so we take a bad debt, in the normal world, you take a bad debt reserve. The last time we canceled $180,000 worth of old ordinances and used it for a grant receivable that we were never gonna receive. So we technically lost $180,000 worth of working capital money in this town. So are we gonna lose 20,000 of working capital money to write this receivable off?
We've lost it already. These grants are closed. These grants are years old that have never been closed off the books.
Well, we didn't know we lost it because it shows as a receivable, so now we have to write it off.
There is one grant on there right now, the Mountain Ave one from the DOT, which we're working with. The reimbursement's just going through, but the rest of them, and that's not on here. It's on a separate resolution. It's on the resolution for the next meeting. But these are monies that were received and not charged to specific line items. These are monies that were received and are sitting in the grant fund that we want to move back to fund balance.
I understand. I guess when we wrote off $180,000 prior to you coming on board.
Right.
My question back then was, are there any other receivables that we need to write off? Because we should figure out what this all is. I don't know if that doesn't have anything to do with you because you're probably cleaning this up. So now what I'm saying again, here's a $20,000 ticket that we have to write off and use technically some money against that,
No.
right? No? We
No.
just
No.
write, where do you write it off to?
It's a grant fund. It's not in the current fund. It's an outstanding receivable sitting in the current fund.
So where does the offset go? You said we wipe the receivable from an accounting standpoint. You write the receivable off.
So once the money was allocated in the municipal budget, it was transferred from the current fund to the grant fund. It sits there as a receivable. The money was never received, so it still is a receivable. The money was never received because the money was never expended. The year's over, the money is frozen. The following year, the money is canceled out. So the expenses weren't paid, the receivables weren't received because of that.
So where does how do you get rid of the receivable? I understand you write it off.
If you don't have an expense to charge against the receivable,
It's not there.
But we didn't have it for the
You're canceling.
$180,000. We had a $180,000
we're
grant
talking about two
receivable.
separate things here. You're talking about $180,000.
Of a grant receivable that we wrote off, and we used $180,000 of money to write that off,
Right.
that we could have used for the town. It's the same principle. So how do we get rid of the 20,000? You're writing it
Am
off.
I
What is
missing
that?
something?
Yeah, you think you are.
No, I think you're getting it right.
I happen to agree with Bob. I mean, if you have a receivable on your books.
Okay, I'm not an accountant, but is it a real receivable? Is it even though it may be even though you're carrying it as a receivable to get a grant, is it really a receivable? I mean, if you haven't used it and you're not allocating
There's no
it,
expense.
There's no
So
expense.
there's really
So
no.
it's
a receivable that's
it's
sitting on
money
the
that's
books
out
for
there,
money that
but
was never
You
spent.
don't have it.
It was almost like a conditional receivable based on us doing something and we didn't
It's
do
like a
it.
fund that you could draw on if the right things happen, but it didn't happen, but you're not losing any money, and you're certainly not paying any money. You're not writing any check or losing any money.
Well, we did for
There are-
180,000.
I'm not
That's
talking
different,
about-
that's different.
I'm not talking about that, Bob. I mean,
But that's a grant receivable. It's
And
the
I'm not-
same principle.
I don't want to get into the finances because it's not my thing.
Okay, so then, with
just
all due
talking about this.
respect, then don't, because
No, I'm talking about
I'm
this
saying we wrote off $180,000 of money that we had in unused funds to get rid of a receivable. That was $180,000 that we could have used
So that-
in our fund
So
for
you're
cash.
saying at one point, there was a receivable so we expected to receive this grant.
Right,
I think I remember what this
Right.
was. We expected to receive this grant.
right.
We spent the money.
And
We never got the grant.
Correct.
No, I don't think we spent the money.
Well, if we
no, we
use
spent
township
it.
money,
Did we
that
spend the
mean-
money?
that means we expended
Yeah,
the
that's
money.
why we had to find the money, Bob, because we
Right.
spent the
That
money
was
and
in
it was
the-
unfunded.
That was in the capital fund where an ordinance was authorized in order to spend the money, similar to a DOT grant. You don't get the money up front. You have to spend it and you get reimbursed. That $180,000 was money that was spent and nothing was ever reimbursed. Either the grant wasn't received, the grant never existed,
I'd have to check then.
Or-
I don't remember. I'll look.
or we didn't meet the requirements of the grant by the work that we did, and we then forfeited the grant. But that's a whole other issue from this. This is monies that were received, and we are now canceling the physical monies, not the outstanding receivable, to the fund balance.
Okay,
This is
well, Mike,
physical money sitting in the grant fund.
you pulled it anyway, right, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
So do I have a motion and a second with 294, 296, and 297 being pulled. Is there an issue with 297, gentlemen?
Well, for 297, yes. So I guess my question is, we're buying a new 16-passenger bus,
What's the matter with that?
and
With 2 handicap passenger seats, correct?
understood.
And there are renderings of the bus in your packet, Mr. Ullman.
Yes, it looks very nice. I had a chance to look at it. So I guess my question is, I was looking at the Pascack Press, and I didn't speak to Westwood, but they have one brand-new bus and one bus that's being donated that is 2 years old. And their program provides service to Westwood, Emerson, and Hillsdale area Tuesday and Thursday, 9 to 2 p.m. So it would seem to me that there is quite a bit of excess capacity if they have 2 buses that get used 3, 5, 10 hours a week. So I guess my question is, have we, in the spirit of shared services, have we spoke to them and asked them, is there capacity that we can tap into?
No, we have not. We used to be in a service with Oradell, who recently pulled out of the agreement because they had enough need to have their own, is what they determined.
No, so
And I know on the day of our senior meetings, from when I was here before, the buses filled to capacity from picking up seniors.
But Mike, looking at the Pascack Press, the 2 days you're talking about is only for Westwood, then the other 2 days or 1 day they go to the other towns. So the bus is not available all those other hours.
So
They have 3 towns on their bus, Westwood.
well, that's not how I didn't interpret it that way. I guess my question is, we have a lot of new buses in the Pascack Valley. Does everyone need a new bus? Is there excess capacity? I mean, I'm not opposed to spending the $65,000 if it's needed or warranted. Have we done our due diligence and asked the question? Because it does seem that they have, Westwood has this facility or these buses coming online. So that's my only question.
Well, I think we asked that during the budget process to Mrs. Grau, and the response was that nobody could handle the need of
Our
our seniors
scheduling
and our
also.
scheduling, Mr. Ullman. And that's why the council budgeted for the $65,000 in this year's budget.
And I think it's going to be more than
I
that.
saw that article, Mike. I don't remember. Did it say those are additional buses, or are they replacing anything older in
No,
their fleet? I just don't remember.
They are replacement buses.
Okay.
I also think at one of the meetings, we were supposed to have some more research as to Bergen County, what we can get, what the services we can get for the town. I know there was, how many people actually were on the bus at one time, which maybe it was the wrong information, didn't seem like it was a lot. But we were supposed to research this with Bergen County, see what services we can get from them. Maybe our good friend, Dr. Cardinal, could help us with this.
But gentlemen,
So we pulled it anyway, but I'm just, again.
we sat here during the budget process, and we all agreed that the existing bus we have met its useful life, and we budgeted the money for a new bus.
Right, and then we
So-
also agreed that we would research the possibility of getting
But
other buses
Mrs. Grove
and
brought us all
services.
that information during the
No,
budget.
I don't think she finished it, but at any rate, Mike pulled it, so that's fine.
Okay. So do we have a motion and a second with 294, 296, and 297 being pulled at this time?
Second.
We have a second. We roll call without 294, 96, and 97.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Resolution 18-294, opposing proposed rate increases by Suez Water. Mr. Allman?
So who owns the water infrastructure, the water
Suez.
delivery?
Suez.
So unlike Hoboken, where they're having all these breaks and Hoboken owns it, and Suez manages it.
Suez
The Suez
owns
owns
it. They paid for it outright.
Suez bought the utility from Hoboken.
Okay.
Hoboken's complaining because their infrastructure, their roadways and such are being destroyed.
So I guess my question is, are we opposed to Suez? Is it just because they're raising their rates and they're trying to deliver a safe water in a safe manner? You know, or...
They just had a fairly recent increase last year or the year before. These rate increases are extremely high. I'm going to a meeting on Thursday with some of the other administrators. All the towns around us are opposing this, and there's even a hearing on it, I believe Thursday evening down in Hackensack, that I'm going to try to attend. The rate increase for just an average homeowner, in my humble opinion, is, you know, way out of line.
It exceeds almost 10%.
It's all about, Suez is
Let the shareholders eat some of it.
Yeah, Suez is a publicly traded company that is, trying to get us to pay for their maintenance of their systems.
And just because we're paying for the system here, and our residents will be paying for the system here in Washington Township. You mentioned Hoboken. Suez is going to be paying a lot of money in the city of Hoboken. Most of that's what you get when you have a utility. You're spreading your money all
Well,
over.
what happened, we do not have the same issues as Hoboken. Suez has undertaken a lot of replacement projects in the last couple of years, and they continue to replace water mains in Washington Township. There's a project going on right up on the hill right now.
Sometimes they're extending their own service.
Correct.
Not necessarily
Well,
replacing.
here they're replacing. They just did a
I know on Hampshire, they enlarged the service so they could serve people.
But they are a publicly traded company, so their rate increases are to the betterment of their stakeholders. That's why I'm in agreement with passing the opposition to the rate increases. Because sometimes the stakeholders have to take a little less, and they have to get their own house in order, not at our expense, at their own expense as being a business.
Okay.
And I know you brought up, Hoboken owned their own municipality, owned water division for years and years, and neglected it for years and years, put it out on the street, sold it to Suez, and Suez is now reaping the sins of the past by all these water main breaks.
It's like buying a property with an environmental problem.
Correct. It's the exact same thing.
Okay.
So does anybody need any more information that we could put 18-294 back on for a vote?
We do it three separately, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a second, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to put 18?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
This is to pass it, not
This
to
is
put
to pass
it.
it, yeah.
Yes.
Councilman Bruno?
We talking 18-294?
Yes, just 18-294.
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
No.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Resolution 18-296, authorize canceling unencumbered balances of a grant appropriations reserve. Do we have any more discussion on that?
Just, who prepared the cancellation?
The chief financial officer,
Ashley.
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 I'm sorry.
Okay.
Anything, Mr. Bruno?
No.
Do I have a motion to pass 18-296?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno?
No.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
No.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Resolution 18-297, authorize award of contract for 16 passenger plus 2 handicap passenger Ford E450 shuttle bus. Do we have any further discussion on this, gentlemen? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
No.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Omen?
No.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Moving on, non-consent agenda, Resolution 18-289, authorized refund of snack bar fees, Township of Washington baseball, $80. I will be abstaining from this.
What is this?
The Board of Health overcharged the Washington Township baseball for the snack stand health inspections. We are a 5013C, and they charge us as a business, so the fees are different. So there's a difference between a not-for-profit and a profit, Bob. So they're refunding us the balance. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Abstain. Do I have a motion to adjourn to conference agenda and take a 5-minute break?
So moved.
So moved.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. All right, gentlemen, under current business, we'll start with ordinance 18-11. Mr. Pollard?
All right, so this ordinance was part of the codification review, and there was a discrepancy found with respect to this ordinance. It's an ordinance that I didn't even know it was going to be actually on for introduction, but it's an ordinance I thought maybe was going to be reviewed to be put on. But on talking to the administrator and Dr. Casio, there is what I would consider to be true potential litigation, not general litigation on this one. So I think that the rest of my conversation regarding it, I'd like to put closed, because it is not just some amorphous general thing. There's a real issue that I see that needs to be discussed. Okay. Not the introduction of it. It's not going to be introduced in private.
So we'll have to come out of private.
If you want to introduce it, or you can put it on for the next meeting. You know, there's no rush to put it on.
Well, there is a rush, because I think.
All right. Okay. Fine. You can put. I mean, you can come out and introduce it. Yes.
We'll come out and introduce it if we need to.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is parking on lawns, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Mr. Bruno. That's a good way to sum it up.
I don't know how we can have litigation, but it would be interesting to find out.
You'll be surprised.
I'm always surprised.
I kind of
agree.
But I agree with Mr. Ullman. I think this discussion should happen here now, because if we get sued over it, we get sued over it. I mean, all ordinances are, I kind of.
Mike, just let.
Yeah, let's just wait. Okay. All right. Gentlemen, the first thing on our agenda is the firehouse study. Has everybody reviewed the new packet, the new report that was included in their packet?
I have unfortunately not, because I had a crazy schedule, and I did see the mayor's email regarding the debt funding, which I had not reviewed also, so I'm a little bit at a loss, but just to answer your question, but maybe we can have a synopsis of the debt schedule.
I think everyone saw the email, but the only change in the new books versus the old was the correction of the facility name. So everything else stayed the same.
Yeah, it was the same presentation.
Right.
You just corrected the header and the footer.
Yeah. I don't want anyone to think anything of substance change.
The header and the footer was incorrect.
So I didn't have any questions about the study per se.
What is, I guess, Mr. Ullman, just before we start, can we discuss this as what our, before we get to the debt schedule, would we want to, first question is how would we address which option we'd like to discuss? What is everybody favoring the option at this point in time? Whether it's one of the three rehabilitations or the new firehouse? and then we'll get the debt schedule. If we could have a discussion on that first, that's what I'd like to steer this toward. If that's okay with everybody? So we're going to just open up an open dialogue, or we want to go council person by council person? What is your say, Mr. Duck?
Any way you want to approach it.
I think the first thing we should
kind of see what we like and what's feasible for the town, and then we'll decide how
Correct.
we're going to pay for it.
I think the first thing we should all come to a decision on is, I mean, my recommendation is for the cost differential between the renovations and the new firehouse. I think it is to our best interests to build a new firehouse. I know it sounds crazy, but when you take the cost differential between rehabilitating a building that has poor maintenance for years and years and trying to rehabilitate it without having x-ray vision, I think we're fooling ourselves that the ultimate rehabilitation number may drive a number higher than a brand new firehouse. So, I mean, that's my feelings on that subject. I'm in favor of building a new firehouse.
I would just like to remind everyone on the council that since the ambulance took their
And the
vote,
ambulance.
yeah, let's try to remember them. I don't want them to think they're a stepchild in any way on this project. So,
Ambulance Corps, you're
yeah.
not a stepchild.
Yeah.
You are included in this. We want you there, and we're happy
Yeah.
you're going there. So, yes.
Thank you.
I'm all in favor of a new firehouse ambulance
Emergency
services facility. There we go. A new emergency services facility, the crown gem of
Sorry, Chief.
the township. Mr. Cumming, do you have anything to add?
I stand with you on this one, Mr. DeSena. I think we're spending good money after good money and not throwing away on an old schlinky building. There's a good new word, schlanky. Where'd that come from? Anyway, it's not usable. The firemen need everything they can get.
Mr. Allman?
I would say that if one of these needed to go forward, it would likely be the new building. I guess my question is, are we maximizing the building? And a lot of the build-out that is being proposed and the use of the space, I guess, I know that it's contemplative of us going to a paid service at some point, or having the ability to support a paid service, which is great, but do we need that today? Do we need to build it today? Do we need that space today? Have we looked at utilizing or leveraging a shared service for some of our firefighting and our protection? And, if we're going to be building something this large, is there other things that could go there?
What else would you, just as a general, is that a general statement, or did you have something in mind that you thought could go there to?
Well, should it be, we don't have a dedicated overnight shelter. We've talked about doing it. I think the OEM group has talked about getting cots and things of that nature. If we're putting something up and it's going to be the center, it's going to be central to our fire protection, our ambulance, our protective services, should we have the ability to shelter residents in their time of need.
Well, isn't that what the Jack Woods Center is for?
I don't know.
I just don't foresee having the public in an emergency when our men and women of the fire and ambulance department are trying to respond to emergencies, introducing the public to that area, to me, doesn't seem like a good idea. I would think when I first joined the council, we bought the cots in January, I thought they were for implementation if needed in Jack Woods here. I don't know if I had I don't know if I have the wrong impression of what we were told, but I thought the cots were going to be stored in some kind of trailer, and they had the ability to be set up in the Jack Woods Center if needed for an overnight stay. But I wouldn't feel comfortable with having the public, if we had this emergency center, of having pedestrians walking in and out of a building when you have, our services responding to, whatever emergencies come up, during that event, that we would need to have open up an overnight center.
And if I may just add on to that, I think to open an overnight center takes it to a whole nother realm regardless of the location. There's a lot of factors that go into having an overnight center. The cots were purchased not with the intent of ever being overnight, but just for people to rest even during a day type thing. Am I correct, Matt?
I wasn't here when they were purchased, but both other municipalities that I've worked for closed the centers at a certain time. Once you get into overnight, you get into housing requirements that usually the small municipality does not have the ability to maintain. Staffing, food,
shower facilities
and such. They're more of resting and cooling or warming centers than they are emergency shelters.
And that's what we use the senior.
Correct. Right.
And usually if it becomes such an emergency, you're going to use a school as a pod, point of distribution. And they do have those, our high school has.
You have locker rooms and stuff that they can use for that.
So that would be, hopefully we never have anything on that scale. And if you remember, Sandy, we had a pretty serious, situation. We didn't get to that point. So we were lucky. So hopefully it doesn't happen. You'd use a school in that situation.
Anything else, Mr. Holman? No. Mr. Bruno?
Well, I think the general condition of all the buildings here are horrible. And I guess I'm trying to figure out on a long-term plan. We have a firehouse, and I have this memorandum that we want to bond, I don't know, 20 million, 19 million. And there's a schedule that shows some other numbers in there.
But before we get into the finances, do you have a preference between a rehabilitation?
Well, my preference would be to understand what the whole game plan is. So but if you're looking at it, I don't think it's worth trying to fix something that's falling apart, if that's the answer.
That's what we're trying to get before we get to the finances.
If the ambulance is there, again, but there's a lot that goes after it, because you then have an intersection that's not feasible, and you have everything else that goes along with it that doesn't work.
Well, I think, as we progress into our administration part of our meeting, the intersection is there.
No, I'm talking about the overall strategic planning and financing of the town. But the building is a disaster. So the answer to your question is...
You would be in favor of a new building also?
Yeah, I don't think it pays to try and refurbish something.
Okay. that was our first question.
Especially if you're going to put the ambulance in there too, so. And I don't know what their building looks like, so.
Dr. Cassio?
I am cheap, okay? But I think in this case, we have to go with something new, because when you do any type of construction, you open up new avenues of spending money. I think the fire department and the township residents deserve a facility that can serve the needs for today and 50 years from today. And talking about price, you're only talking, in the grand scheme of things, $500,000 difference from the lowest to the refurb to the highest, which is really not a huge number to the taxpayer. But any increase I hate to see, but when you're spending that type of money, I think going new is probably the best way to go. And if it was my house and I was building something, I would go that way.
Okay.
Myself. It's a huge, when you look at it, it's a huge number. It's $6 million, and that scares me. But I think the town really needs something to work. And I agree, we should share services Westwood and the surrounding communities. And no matter how you share those services, you have to have a building within the municipality to hold those equipment and personnel. And I think this way is the best. Hopefully we can share other things. Maybe we don't have to share some expensive trucks or something along that line, but I think this is important and it probably requires a new facility.
Thank you, Dr. Casio. I at first, I'll let
Go ahead, yeah.
I at first was not, I was, until I actually, visiting the firehouse and going to a pancake breakfast on a January morning is one thing, but, seeing pipes break all over the place and sewage leaking through ceilings and, other issues, it makes you really think about it, that they're not asking, other than to have, a facility that we will maintain going into the future, not neglect as this one has been. And that's what changed my mind. Because originally, when the option of a new firehouse came up, I was not in favor of it at all. And, being on this council for 8 months has, enlightened me a lot to see the disregard for maintenance we've had in all our facilities, which is a shame because we could have maybe saved some of them instead of having to rebuild them. So that's why I vote for a new one. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything you'd like to add to our?
Yeah, just one thing. I have been attending some meetings that address shared services, and all the towns around us are generally willing to help, but some of them are saying that they are at capacity also, and they don't have room to share. I don't know if it's that way on fire, but it would be nice for the township to have something to offer to the other towns for a change instead of us always depending on them for things. So I think this is a good thing to go forward also from that perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Ullman, discussing finance, I guess the council is in agreement that after we discuss the finances, we should see how to proceed with getting this study from the study phase into getting proposals to, once we figure out the finances, how to get this to fruition.
So I think in my opinion, you're like pushing this, which is fine.
I'm not saying we have to make a decision tonight.
No, well, believe me, we're not making a decision tonight. Well, others can. I certainly am not. I think you're like pushing this forward. I mean, we have 4 drawings, 4 proposals, one of which is a new firehouse. I mean, if the thought of exploring shared services, if the thought of building the firehouse for the future is, if we feel we need all of these things, I think we need to hear from the fire department about that. And, in terms of the finances, so we received a schedule that talks about $6 million in bands outstanding, 440 in bonds outstanding, which will be retired next year. There are proposed projects, the EMS Fire Department building of $6 million, which is not on the debt schedule or the capital schedule that was approved by the council. We know it was needed, but it's not there. So it's new monies. The radio system of $1 million. In the budget, it is for $800,000, so that's grown by $200K. Property acquisition, I'm not sure what that is, but that's $2 million. That's new money, not in our capital plan. A DMF building of $2 million, that's new money, not in our capital plan. Memorial Field, $2 million, new money, not in our capital plan. So we're talking $6 million in bands that we gotta capitalize into permanent funding, permanent bonds. 13 million in proposed projects, of which 12.2 is new, and that doesn't include $80,000 for a DMF dump truck that was in the budget, road program in 2019 of $700K, road program of $700K in 2020. No talk of a ladder truck, so that's 1.5 million, 2019. Replacement of a engine 44 for 650,000. That's a pumper, as well as 400K for the intersection. So 4 million of capital projects that we had in our plan aren't here. So we're now looking at 19 million, 23 million. And, you know, I don't see that analysis in the information that we received. So I don't know if there was some type of omission or some assumption that wasn't factored in, you know, unless I'm missing something. Are we expecting grants for all of this? If we are, I think that's great. I don't know if we have a proven track record to discount $4 million in needed capital materials. So I think, you know, if we're going to have a realistic discussion, a real discussion about this, I think we should be working with real numbers.
Thank you. So me being up here, I think the reason that we're all up here is we need to stop the inaction that's been going on for years and years. I'm not trying to push this on anybody. We need to progress. We can't just sit back and talk about numbers and numbers and numbers. The piper is here and we need to pay him. And unfortunately, it's going to come at the expense of our taxpayers, including myself and including everybody on this dais. We've neglected all our facilities. We've neglected our trucks. You know, we have a 30-year pumper. You know, that thing was due to be replaced 10 years ago, Mike. And I'm not trying to force this down on anybody, but we could sit up here for another 6 months and talk about the finances. We could talk about the firehouse. We could talk about the intersection. But if we don't start to do something about it, what are we doing?
So
that's my thought. You told me I'm trying to push this down. Yes, I am trying to get. I want to see things progress. Sure. I'm tired of talking about them. I'm tired of hearing the same old sob story that we have a 30-year-old ladder truck. You're absolutely right. We need a new $1.5 million or whatever it is.
So again, I'm not saying that it was omitted. I'm just saying, you know, $1.5 million is a decent number.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not, you know, it's at the cup of coffee. I don't know if we're going to be, you know, at the cup of coffee or a Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, but, you know, if we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it. So, you know, $4 million, that's 20% that's 20% growth in what was proposed and what was analyzed.
Mr. Colal, you have something to say?
No.
I mean, also, we have the items that Mike talked about for $4 million, and yet somehow they disappear and we have a $2 million memorial field. I mean, seriously, what are we doing? You talk about progressing? So put the progressing on here instead of, you know, where'd the $2 million memorial field come from?
Well, Bob.
No, answer the question. I'm just
I don't know where the $2 million memorial field came from. But even if we take the $2 million and cut your $4 million down to $2 million and get rid of the memorial field, we're still talking the same numbers. It's going to come out of the taxpayers.
So to my point, again, and to I think what Mike is saying, put a strategic plan together, put a plan together that finances what we want to do. No town is going to pay this at the pipe of the first day because it's been neglected. You have to have a plan. You have to have a 5-year plan. This is not a 1-year plan where we renovate the whole town and spend $15 million. Doesn't work.
Well, however you look at it.
That's how you look at it.
If you look at, you got $6 million in bands that we've been putting off for all these years, Bob. Right? You got $6 million in bands.
I asked about the bands that we just put bands on. We put $140,000 that was approved in 2015 for engineering fees that we're paying debt on for Memorial Field, AKA turf, and we're paying money on that, and that money's gone nowhere. So clean up what we have for the 18th time. We brought a whole bunch of professional people who sat here in front of us. We went through it. We got the final explanation of everything we needed to do. Put a plan together where you show we have $1 million school money. Where's that? How does that come out of this? What happens to that? What happens to all the other bands? You just don't throw $19 million on a piece of paper and say, hey, folks, sorry, you got to pay for it. That's not how you do planning. You want to do planning, do strategic planning.
When do you want to start building this stuff, Bob? In 2025?
I'm not talking about when you build it. I'm talking about a plan. You're not going to do it this year anyway. You know you're not going to do it this year because nothing's in there. Put a plan together. I've been saying this since day one.
It doesn't matter if it's in there. The capital plan, throw it out the window. The one that's in the budget, throw it out the window. Any finance officer will tell you that. It is fake.
Of course it's fake, but those are real items.
I understand they're real items. We're talking about the same things we were talking about in 2015. We haven't moved forward one bit since
2002. Don't say 15. Let's be real. You guys have been sitting here for 10 years.
I feel like we're kicking this down. We're kicking the can down the aisle again.
Well, with all due respect, Matt, I mean, I know you're here to help. I get it. And we're looking for an administrator. I appreciate your comments. But, you haven't been here. We've been kicking this down on the budget. We're trying to figure this out. Do a strategic plan. I've said this when you were the administrator. Where's the planning? Where's the budget?
Find a municipality
Never got anything.
that does one.
Never got anything.
Well, then I think everyone has to decide what's your number one priority. If we're worried, and I don't want to spend $20 million off the bat, and I think there has to be, a semblance to it. This is a good start. We know what a firehouse will cost. We don't have to act on it immediately, but we have a start somewhere, okay? What's your priority? Intersection, firehouse, DMF? Those are your three big items in town. Those are the three biggest things. What can function right now without being touched?
Right, so what's your priority as a councilman, the council vice president? What do you see has to be done right away?
My priority?
Yeah.
Okay? My priority is to get that intersection done. Because it affects most people in this town.
And it's not even on the list.
Okay.
It is on the list, Bob.
That would be my number one priority. My second priority, if you ask me, would be to get emergency services, fire, ambulance, and police, and I think police is where they need to be, up to speed, okay? My third thing is I think we can still function very well with our DMF with the proper personnel and supervision. So those are my three big priorities, and that's how I would tackle it, to be honest with you, okay? Now the problem with the intersection is that we don't control that. We control it to an extent, but we don't control it totally.
But we are doing the best we can.
We're doing the best we can,
and
yes.
it will hopefully go to fruition in 2019.
Yes.
I mean, that's all we can do.
That's all we can do, and we're doing our part. But that's where I would go. If you ask my strategic plan, I'm very simple. I can only do three things. That's my bullet list. 1, 2, 3. Intersection, firehouse/EMS, and DMF would be the third. Not a building for DMF, utilize it properly. But that would be my pecking order, because I think that's how, the town would function best. Again, can't spend $22 million off the bat, but if you gotta take it in chunks, take it in logical chunks.
If I might ask Steve, just to dovetail on that.
Yeah.
And it's just ideas,
Sure.
Would you suggest we do one of these projects every 2 years to stagger it in? Or, are you saying, hey, we got to pay off the whole $5 or $6 million bond for EMS before we would tackle the next? Or something in between?
Yeah, I would, hybrid it. I mean, you can't, if you're doing that, you never,
right.
It could take 5 years to get the intersection,
and if I
we're
can
sitting there.
interject on Mr. President. We're going to authorize debt today. We're going to note it for a year. We're going to authorize new debt next year. We're going to note it for a year. You're not going to go out and get permanent bonds on something, most likely until the project's done.
But like people talk about, this council is already noted the DMF. They passed an ordinance for $2.2 million. And you guys talk about it, that was 2 years ago. And the DMF is still sitting the same way.
And why do you think that is?
I don't know, Bob, I
Because you have
wasn't
the
here.
soil remediation that we weren't told, and then we found out there's a soil remediation underneath the building and the whole complex. That was never given to us until in May, when someone said, you got a problem. So you can't knock a building and build a building when you have a soil remediation problem.
Okay.
That
I'll
was
find
hidden from us. Hidden is the word.
That's fine.
And I don't use that loosely.
But I don't think that ever held the project up per se. It was something we found out, but I don't think that was a main, we all know the main reason why things didn't move in the past, and we don't have to go back there.
Well, it did hold the project, because you can't do a building. We put it in and found out there was a soil remediation issue, so you can't do a building.
Well, I think we saw for $170,000, if we all got that email, that's what it would take to remediate that site to put a new building on. So at least, I'm not saying it's, we have an answer on it now.
It's not optimal, but it's
Right,
doable.
right. Mhm.
The other thing is, and, Matt, you raise a good point about not going to permanent bonding and, issuing short-term notes and issuing short-term notes and then, eventually bonding. I think that, that would be a mistake. I think the rate environment, we benefited for the past 5 or 6 years with the lowest rates that we will ever see in our lifetime. And they're going nowhere but up. Mr. Beinfield, he talked about the compression of the 10-year note and the short-term note, and it's a 1%, 100 basis point difference. That's not going to be forever. And, it's in our best interest to bond this and bring the money in-house. Whatever we decide to do, I think it's in our best interest to bring that money into house as quickly as possible, because our interest rate and our cost of carrying this is only going to go up.
I agree with you. However, then you're going to bond for the entire project now. You're going to bond for all the projects now, and they're all going to expire at the same time. Where you could, and you may be bonding more than you need.
But, see, that's the fallacy, because we're, let's look at the $6 million that we're going to roll into this bond.
Okay.
So we are paying, I believe they said the bonds would be a 20-year maturity.
It depends. You can't take a simple road project or and lump it in with a building project and do a 20-year bond. They're going to do a weighted average based off what all the items are.
So I believe, and perhaps I misread it, I thought they made an assumption that the weighted average would be the 20 years.
It might be 20, it might be 18, it might be 22. You
So-
can go a max of 30 or 40 on a new building.
Understood. So my point is that we have purchased equipment, for lack of a better term, disposable equipment, consumable equipment.
That's already gone.
We bonded it, we used it, we've already thrown it out, and we're still paying the bands on it. Then we're gonna capitalize that, permanently bond it, and then pay for another 20 years. So, I think, again, that we need a clear plan with regard to that. And if we have to split and run multiple debt schedules and multiple bond schedules, I don't know if that's reasonable. I don't know if that's something that can be done. But if we need to permanently bond a building for 40 years and, pay off the bands in 10, then I think that's something we should investigate as well. But yes, these things need to be done. The $2 million for the field, Peter, I think that's,
Let me say, I just threw these numbers out here for Ashley to do estimates off of.
We know that the field, it didn't get turfed. We know there's a problem. We know it needs lights. Those lights are going to be $500,000 to $750,000. We need to correct or do some work on the drainage. there's no doubt that money needs to be invested in that field. It's not a question of that these projects don't need to be done.
Yeah, you want a field, you have to
But
pay money.
we need, to understand how they're being paid for. And I go back to the firehouse study is, do we need, and, they're sitting back there, the chief, the director, the assistant chief, are we, do we need the Rolls Royce of firehouses that have, a room for a chief, a assistant chief, the lieutenants, or is there something that can be scaled back? And if it's a factor of, 5%, then maybe not. But if it's a factor of, 10% or 20%, then I think it's something that needs to be considered. It's a starting off point. It's $6 million. It could go up to 8. It could go down to 4. Let's figure out what is the appropriate, what should be cited there, and what should it look like. And that's that's how I feel.
Only thing I would disagree on is I don't think they're getting a Rolls-Royce building. I think based on what they did with the architect who did the study, that it's what today's firehouses need by code and/or to operate. So that's the only area I disagree with your opinion on.
Okay.
And also, we don't have to wait for once a month or twice a month to bring the fire department here. We could reach out to them on our own and get a lot of our answers that we're looking for here on the dais by reaching out to them. I speak to the chief once a week, twice a week sometimes. I know we're all busy, but, to put them on the agenda, to bring them back here, we could ask them directly these questions and not have to deal with, adding another meeting to the schedule. I think the best meeting we could add to the schedule is to come up with this thing that Bob wants. All of us sit here, the 5 of us and the mayor, and create our own financial lookout with us, because nobody's going to do it for us. So if that's what we need to proceed, then we need to have another special meeting and get here and create it. Instead of just talking about it and saying, well, we need this person to do it. Well, Matt's told us there is no person that's going to do it. So if that's what we want to proceed, let's call for a special meeting this month and come here, sit here, have a work session, and iron it out. And get the numbers on a piece of paper. Take Ashley's numbers. Bob's smart enough with the financials to take Ashley's numbers and interpolate them and get it done. Because this list isn't going to magically appear, and we can't pay somebody to create the list for us. So if that's what we need to proceed, that's what I think we should do.
And again, I had Ashley do these numbers, one based on some of Bob's comments about a debt schedule and like that, but I wanted her to concentrate. It was more just to get numbers, like what would we pay just for the fire and EMS building if we had to bond $6 million? And then what if we had to bond $19 million? I didn't go as far as to say we're going to spread that out over 5 years. It was just a starting point to know, a beginning thing for numbers that, if we have to bond $19 million over 5 or 10 years even, it was just a starting number to come up with for all of these projects. So I don't want anyone blaming Ashley for anything. It's just things I asked her to get started with to give us a feel as to where we're going on this.
If we want to create a 5-year capital plan, then we need to sit down and create it, Bob.
I don't disagree. I've been saying this
So-
for years. You have to have
So instead of talking about
a strategic plan.
Let's create a strategic plan ourselves,
List all the
include the mayor
projects.
in on it, and get it done so we can finally put this to bed and start moving ahead. Because if we keep asking for a strategic plan, and it's clear that it's not going to come from magic, so we need to create it. So I guess we'll stop there on the firehouse study if everybody's okay with stopping there, unless they have something else to say. Mr. Cumming, you've been quiet.
I'm absorbing a lot of different materials, but I'd like to sit down and have like a Saturday budget meeting, only we do a Saturday strategic plan.
Meeting, yep.
Like you just spoke about. I think that's an excellent idea. Finished.
I'm available,
Okay.
just not this weekend.
DMF study update.
Me also.
We received the DMF study. We'll not much to discuss at this point until we create our strategic plan, I would say, unless somebody would like to add something at this time. I I think we're just going to get to the same point we just did with the firehouse. So in order to progress, if Mr. Allman, you okay with that?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, we got this study. So what's your thought? You know, we got three options. We got multiple options. What's your thought?
My thought would be is to proceed with the, I don't know what number it is in the plan. Give me 1 second.
Because when I read a conclusion, and again, this was based on some high-level analysis that...
Previous one, yes.
You know, well, this analysis is based on detailed analysis that was previously done that, you know, is partially suited, you know, that there are issues with putting all of the necessary, meeting the wants and needs on the site that's being considered. DMF operations may be somewhat constrained by the site size. The balance, further on, the balance of the DPW vehicles would need to be continue to park at the existing Township Hall DMF parking lot on Hudson Street. They talk about acquisition cost of the new site, but they don't talk, you know, and they talk about the cost to make other sites potentially useful. You know, is there a trade-off between the acquisition cost and the cost to establish those new sites? You know, so, you know, I do have some questions, and, you know, there was one site, and again, I don't know if it's constrained by the wetlands, but, you know, it would seem that it may have less impact and may be further away and might be large enough to meet their needs and allow for, you know, an appropriately sized and configured DMF lot. So, you know, that would be my comments.
I think it'd be a good opportunity to bring the author of the report in. If the mayor could ask them to come in and present it to us, and why they looked at certain sites and why they think that, you know, based on the two, I personally like Exhibit H as my preferred one at the back of the, if I had one at this time, without having all the other information presented that I would ask. But I think we should have the author come in and explain his report, if that's okay by the mayor.
The only thing I'm thinking about, I'd like to ask the council, are we putting the cart before the horse? I don't know which. Do we want to have the capital plan discussion first? Because if it's decided that DMF is third on the list, and that's not going to happen for a number of years, are we wasting his time and our time even listening to the presentation until we...
That was just my list, so I don't know where...
Yeah, no, and I'm just throwing out at random, yeah. I'm happy to ask him, but I just want to make sure it's as productive as it can be once we bring him in.
Mr. Bruno?
I think, you know, when people present, you got to get as much knowledge as you can, and that also determines how you might plan it in terms of priorities. So I think once we understand it, we might sit here and say no, to your point, Peter, but I think we need to understand it.
Okay. So do you want me to see if he can
attend
the next
meeting? Yeah.
Sure.
Is everybody okay with that? We can get the author to attend the next meeting? Mr. Allman, Dr. Tezza?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right, pedestrian signs, Bob.
Yeah, this was just, I mean, I had this a while ago with the pedestrian signs and the flag system. at the crosswalks. I don't know, I thought we were ordering them. I'm not really sure where we ended up with this one again, but we need to seriously do something, because when I get to these intersections, these poor people are running across for their life.
Yeah, as I said in my report with the signs, the salesperson's coming in next week to be able to give us pricing on all the different signs. We basically know where we want to put all the signs, and we do have a priority list that if we didn't fully budget for all the ones we want to do, that, you know, some must come first, second, and third. And if I could jump ahead to the flag system, I spoke to the chief. He's not in favor of it. He asked if anyone had questions as to why or anything, to see him personally, and he'd be happy to explain them.
If I may, I went through a town today that has a flag system. It gives the pedestrian a, what's the right word?
False sense of security.
False sense of security.
No problem.
He picked the
He
guy
picked it up and walked right into traffic.
picked it up, walked right into traffic, didn't even look left or right.
Steve?
You know, honestly, the same thing happens with flashing systems. It gives people the false sense of security. Unless you have a true signalized intersection where the car is told they have to stop, the car's not stopping. I'm dealing with this in my other town as well.
Bob, would you like to reach out to the chief and discuss this?
Yeah, I will.
The intersection update, gentlemen, a 11 by 17 copy was included in your package of the proposed alignment.
So what, are we anywhere in terms of, you know, what's next on this one? I know we put money in to buy properties, but are we buying the property, or?
Do we have to?
Mike, if I can just...
I know we have to, I'm just trying
I
to
had a
figure out.
conversation with Paul today, who had a conversation with Nancy. She expects to have, I guess it's the CAD drawings to him by Thursday of this week.
Once, Mr. Bruno, to answer your question, once Mr. Azzolino receives the CAD drawings, he could then identify how much property will need to be acquired from each parcel. It's very limited at this point, according to this map, but you know, it's an 11 by 17 map. I was able to look at it on the screen. It's still limited, the acquisitions. So once he has that, and he will then need to start negotiations with those property owners to set a value for that purchase to acquire that land and turn it into public right of way.
Okay.
So I would say that Mr. Azzolino's promised that Mr. Mayor, right, Paul has promised that the plans will be back in the county's hands by 2 months, in less than 2 months, once he receives them.
I don't remember exactly the time frame, but I want to say, yes, around 2 months.
So that puts us into, let's call it Thanksgiving. So if we get them back to the county by Thanksgiving, the mayor and I are going to go visit Mr. Tedesco to make sure that the intersection is included in the fiscal 2019 budget for the county. Correct, Mr. Mayor? You want to meet with Mr. Tedesco? And hopefully we will start construction in early 2019.
Good.
Get your shovel. Let's go.
I will paint the shovels gold. Anybody have any questions at that point about the intersection? Bob, you had Groundhog Movie Night?
Well, actually, yeah, I was putting movie night because I know we had concerts, and I was putting it down just to see if there was a different age group demographics we could attract in town. But I saw that when I was out of town, I came back, I saw that we were doing movie night. I don't know if it's because I had suggested it or it was on the agenda. I don't know what happened with it, so.
We only scheduled one movie night this year, like the concert last year, just to get a beta as to, you know, how it would be. And so I would certainly say, you know, next year we can do different age ranges and have more movie nights.
We should do a Jurassic Park.
I thought they did at Jurassic Park.
No, you did Quest to the Center of the Earth.
Real velociraptors.
Yeah.
Or Groundhog. We wake up and do the same thing.
I knew where you were going with that, Mr. Bruno. So.
Thank you. But I did want movie night.
Yes. Quest update,
You said it tonight anyway, Mike,
Yes.
5 times, so. Go ahead.
The
Sorry.
Quest update, representatives from Quest will be at our next meeting to discuss what the next steps of the project will be and give us a full update of where we are and what we need to do in the coming months.
Okay, good.
Do we have any idea how long that presentation will be? Just if I ask the DMF study people to come in, I don't want them.
Well, Quest can wait. We can have DMF go before them.
Okay, I mean, same thing. I don't know if they're charging us by the hour or anything.
He's charged us enough. Bob's.
What time should we tell Quest, what time should we tell them to come?
8 o'clock.
Quest first.
Yeah, 8:30.
8:30?
Yeah.
8:15.
Yeah. Bob, you had staffing, the mayor went off over on his
Just
report?
Before we.
Oh, sorry.
For Quest, so they are recommending or they're suggesting that there be some soil removed, is that correct? To remediate?
Some kind of soil remediation. They didn't say at this point whether we excavate or we do some kind of other method to attenuate the grounds.
If they do suggest, or if we can ask them if they do suggest that we remove the soil, can they give us an estimate of approximately how big an area will be impacted?
Well, he had to have quantified it somehow because he had put a cost to it of about $170K. So he must have some kind of plan in his mind, Mr. Ullman, to come up with that estimate. So I'm sure he'll give us more information at the meeting.
Okay.
Bob, you had staffing.
Yeah,
Anything
but-
in addition to the mayor's report?
Well, I mean, we still have an open CFO. I mean, I thank Matt for helping out. I know he's thrown into a situation. So we need administrator, CFO, director of finance still. Those were the big ones, because you did the payroll and the purchasing agent or whatever. So just on those positions.
Well, the administrative search should be completed by the
End of September.
end of September, Mr. Bruno. So
Matt, are you interviewing them too?
The first round of interviews will be conducted by the search firm.
Okay.
And the second round, which includes the township staff, will be the mayor and whoever he decides to be in the interviews.
You should probably have a conversation, my suggestion anyway, since you know it. Would that be helpful? Okay, thanks.
anything else, Mr. Bruno, or anybody else?
Do we know what the status is of the dispatching?
It was mentioned during the mayor's report,
Civilian dispatching?
they're going to 12 hours 12-hour schedules as of
October 1.
October 1, and there'll be 4 of them.
And does that account for the recent departure?
Yes.
Yes.
And the CFO?
We decided to hold off on the CFO search or continued interviews until after the administrator search was complete. The administrator search did ask for a preferred chief financial officer certification. We want to see what comes back first to see if there's a possibility of merging the positions together. At this point, I'm not sure how they're going to come back, so I think we're a little premature in answering that right this second.
Okay.
And with that, I believe the new administrator, who would have to work with the person, should be involved in hiring a future CFO.
Yep.
Anything else, Mr. Bruno?
No.
Mr. Ullman?
No.
Counselor?
No, at this point.
Road program was discussed because of the weather. It's been delayed, so we're looking at paving October 12th at this point, unless the impending rain at the end of the week causes us to push that back again. Prospect Street.
Is that going to be your engineering opinion? Is that going to be for doing it?
You have until November. You have until November to pave.
But it's not the lack of heat.
No.
Push it back that much. Not
They will this week.
Prospect Street, Mr. Bruno,
All the valves, I think, are installed.
No, there's two that are
Oh,
not.
two they're not.
Right.
The ones that, the others that where letters are going out to them confirming that the installations are complete. And
now the two that are not installed, there was a change order we were
Yeah,
supposed to
that's
see
right.
tonight,
That's
which we
right.
never got.
They need to fill out some political disclosure paperwork. I'll hope to have it back for the next council meeting. And that will just be a change order authorizing an increase over 17, over the right amount.
So 4 of them have been installed, it's just 2 that are still, that were deeper than they thought, so they
Correct.
we need to give them a change order, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Bob, does that answer your question?
That's fine. Just don't want to forget about our friends.
Yeah.
No.
Attorney emails, Mr. Bruno?
Yeah, I had mentioned this back when, I mean, you know, Ken as a township employee is not on the email address. And actually the second, or the 12th point, Mike Ullman has sent an email and Matt responded on that, I think trying to change the server page. But I guess my concern is it's an employee that's not on township email server, which I think is an issue.
I don't consider it an issue, but to tell you the truth, I don't really care. You want to give me an email address for Washington Township, it's perfectly fine with me.
Sue, we have, I can't think of the gentleman's
Jim.
name.
Jim.
Jim McGee, please issue Ken an email address. Ken, can you please monitor the email address and use that from now
I
on?
will use that.
Thank you. Does that address that issue, Mr. Bruno?
Yes, that's fine, thank you.
The social media issue has been addressed, you said, been between?
Well, Matt, I get a chance to read, I guess Mike Ullman can answer on that one.
Yes,
but-
thank you very much, Matt. I mean, I think that was.
You're welcome,
what
and sorry
Peter
for the
and I had
delay on that.
discussed.
Do we have any liability based on the settlement that was made with the Glen Rock?
Not at this point. The settlement was because there was an Oprah that was denied.
Correct, but he still was denied the reason he won the settlement is because he did not receive the list in the Oprah because they thought it was not operable.
Right. Well, at this point, it is operable.
And they've said it's an operable offense
At this
now.
point, we can get it if we need to. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be in the format he's going to need it in, or that somebody might request it, because we don't have an archive, currently don't have an archive program that can archive it. We'll have to print it out and give it to them, if there was some sort of Oprah request on it.
On the
But
mayor's
going-
Facebook, on the
but-
mayor's Facebook
Right,
page.
but going forward, I spelled that out in the email, how we can easily rectify that.
Can we share that email with everybody, because we didn't see it?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, there's, if.
I wouldn't want to, because it would be a,
Violation.
Well, he can share it with.
I can share
I
it.
don't know if he can.
Send it to Sue.
So the main thing is, there's software out there, similar, the one I use in Verona is called Archive Social, and you connect your social media accounts to it, and it keeps the data, it logs the data in raw format, and the custodian of records has access to it, so that if somebody was to file an Oprah request, all she'd have to do is go in, download the file as requested.
It's just give them the
I don't
rundown.
even talk to my grandchildren anymore because they're gonna Oprah me.
Yeah.
You know, I too have a separate Facebook.
Much quieter
that I use
household.
Specifically for work, attached to the township's Facebook, not this township, because I don't want my personal stuff mixed. So having a separate Facebook is actually probably smart.
Okay.
But we will be moving forward with contracting with Archive Social too.
And just to be clear, I concur with that, and I, in my email to Peter, explained that. It was a very specific example, you know, and I personally don't have any concerns that there is something that is not being disclosed or is not available. It was in the context of a discussion on a larger issue that it was raised. So.
Yeah, and if I can, Mike, just when Mr. Ullman sent me the email, I was very happy that he did. That page was converted to my mayor's page from our campaign page.
Right.
That email link just never got changed from a personal email address to my town email. Within 12 hours of Mr. Ullman sending me the email, it was a very simple change, and I went back and looked. I never received one single email from that link on Facebook. And probably what I'd like to do long-term is, it's just a method to put information out to the residents who don't always come to our website, but I think in next year's budget, we need to allocate a small amount of money to start a Facebook page and have someone maintain it with things that are going on
Have
in
a town Facebook.
Yeah, because a lot of people get their updates via
that's fine.
Facebook now. And then, at that point, I'd be happy to pull my mayor one down. That was the only intent,
Okay.
was to
That's fine.
advise people
I
of
didn't
things
think you,
going on.
I
I know, I just
remember
wanted to
it.
explain it, yeah.
Okay. IHA request for flashing crosswalks, gentlemen. There was a request made by the principal at IHA to have flashing pedestrian crosswalk beacons put up. I have no objection if IHA would like to help us fund that. I think that's a great idea.
So in order to do that, Mr. President, the
The county is-
MUTCD would require a traffic engineer to certify that it meets the standards. I'm doing one of them right now on Bloomfield Avenue. The cost ranges from the quotes I got range between $6,500 and $8,500 to do the certification. And usually the county, then we have to pass it off to the county engineer, who is going to say, yeah, I agree with their numbers. But they're not going to do the study themselves because they're going to put the liability on another engineer.
Correct.
So in order to
But there's
do
a
that,
cost there also that we have not, to put up 2 solar flashing beacons is probably in the order of $15,000 to $16,000.
absolutely.
So all in, we're talking about $25,000. I'd like, if she's got a funding avenue to help us fund that.
The first step would be to get a traffic engineer in to do the appropriate traffic studies.
Yes, she should, yeah.
So, and is the principal or is Ms. Shapezi and Mr. DePhillips asking?
I think they were advocating based on a request
Yes.
from the principal.
Yes,
Mr. President,
yes, Mr. Cummings.
are these people who are parking who need
No, these are pedestrians
Parking.
that want to cross the street.
why
Why would they cross the street? I still
Why
don't
are they crossing
Yeah,
understand.
that's what I'd like to know.
I don't
Where are
have
you
that
crossing
answer.
to?
I said the
besides
same
the
thing.
chickens, why are they crossing?
Yeah,
No, listen, are they parking legally?
I can't
across
answer that.
Do they live across the street? I have a Greek,
That's a good question.
It's
What's
a-
across the street?
It's a crosswalk to nowhere right now. I don't know with the Viviano if there's going to be a sidewalk from IHA to get to, if
I don't know
students
that
are
there's
coming from
any
there.
need or any legal parking within the area. So
I don't know why
would
they're
be
crossing the street. That was
concerned,
my
Right.
concern.
I would
That
be
the next thing
concerned
is,
that we were,
even to cross a county road, you would need a traffic study to put a crosswalk there.
Right.
Well, she's
There's
saying
no-
there is a crosswalk there.
I would be concerned that we are condoning illegal parking.
Is that right directly across?
That's,
from
I
the high school?
think when you read the letter, it's saying they're crossing the street.
I'm sure the county will address that as part of their study, like Matt has said.
Justice
Right.
Justice Dawn?
I don't think there's a crosswalk there.
I don't think there's any need.
There is
I'll
not.
just- I'll go
And there's,
drive
there would
past
be no
tomorrow.
need because
That's what I mean,
there's no parking, there is no,
Because it's all woods, right, across the street, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Viviano's.
Woods
it's
and-
Viviano's with the
and-
dirt
and
road that
private
leads to the road
houses.
that leads to nowhere, right?
There's about 3,
Is
4
there,
homes.
What's that?
let me ask this. She's saying crossing pedestrian. Is there already a flashing speed limit sign?
No.
No.
What she might be asking for, not an actual crossing pedestrian. The message may have gotten,
Perhaps we could have more
the message
clarification.
may have gotten across. Maybe we could reach out and,
Well, it's funny you go there because I had a complaint from a resident on Van Emberg asking for more speed limit signs. I reached out to Nancy and Paul reached out to his other contacts, and like everything else, I'm amazed. They said it has to be part of an engineering study to put more speed limit signs on a road.
thought it was about
And so they will get to it when they get to it.
can we put the temporary trailer out?
It's in front of the high school.
Yeah, right now it's in front of the high school, reminding people that school is back. It has been making the rounds through the neighborhoods, tracking people's
It
speed.
was on Colonial.
So we're getting
the other
some
day.
usage out of it.
Yeah.
Can
We
be-
are.
Could it be included in the next police report from, is it Bernadette?
No, it's from,
I'm sorry?
I forget who prepared.
Yeah, you know what I
but-
mean.
Yeah, but, yeah, Lucille. Yeah, I can ask them to add
Cornelia.
where it's been.
I knew that, that's what I
Yeah.
said. Cornelia, that's what I said.
What was it? Where's Stanley? Where's our sign bid? I'll make a note of that,
The thing
yeah.
was at whatever street.
Moving on, health insurance waiver.
I'm passing out a handout to pass down to everyone.
We should really do this, okay? Okay, good. Everybody in favor? Fine, let's go.
So I looked back at one of the council meetings several months ago, and the council had questioned health insurance waiver. An answer really wasn't given. And then I have, at this point, 2 employees who are either considering going on our insurance or are on our insurance, who are eligible to not be on our insurance, but the only reason they are is because the township is going to give it to them because they're not going to get anything in return. So what I did was, a good majority, and I'm saying all but probably 3 of our employees, are on the State Health Benefits Direct 10 plan.
Expecting to be able to
The costs to the township in 2017 are listed at the top of the plan. First number is the monthly cost, second number is the yearly cost. We are currently operating in year 4 of Chapter 78 for our contribution rates. So the contribution rates based off the salary ranges are listed in columns 1 and 2 of each section respectively.
Yeah.
The employee contribution is based off of that percentage of the cost of the plan. The township's cost is the cost of the plan minus the employee contribution. The way the waiver works is the employee will receive up to 25%, not to exceed $5,000 of the township's share, the township's cost, the employer's cost of the healthcare waiver. So if I have an employee, let's just give an example, that's on family coverage making $60,000. They're going to pay $6,400 to have the insurance. We're going to pay $31,000 to have the insurance. The waiver amount, if we decided to do it, would be $5,000. The savings to the township, if we decided to do it, would be $26,000, and the employee would end up seeing a benefit of $11,000, which is the employee contribution that they're not paying now, plus the $5,000.
Mr. Cavallo?
I honestly think employee waivers are a no-brainer.
You wound up at a number of $60,000 somehow? You lost me at that moment, I'm sorry.
He just used that as a salary
I used it
level
as a
if someone
salary
was
range.
making 60.
Somebody making $60,000.
Oh, okay. It's, the sound changes when it travels this far.
That's fine.
But
it's an incentive for the employee not to be on our health insurance.
Yeah.
And save the town money.
And save the town money in turn.
This was very well used and very helpful in the other town I had experience in.
There are restrictions on the plan. If a person is on a state health benefit plan and their spouse is also on a state health benefit plan, they're not eligible for the waiver. The state says they're not eligible.
Yeah, Lou May said that also, the
Right.
auditor.
That's really the only restriction, but there's certain other ones that might come into play. But it's a max of $5,000, up to 25% of the
This
cost.
doesn't count the delta.
What do you mean the delta?
The
Well,
dental.
you give delta.
Oh no, it's only on health
Right.
and it's only on medical and prescription.
Has there been, and prescription, has there been any experience, have you heard anything about them including or not including or taking into account the Delta coverage?
So the waiver program is governed by state health benefits, and state health benefits does not offer dental. If dental is something that we have negotiated with our employees through our negotiating process, or something we offer as a benefit to our non-contractual employees. So if we decided that we wanted to offer a healthcare waiver on dental, which I would not recommend, that would be up to us.
Just curious. Just curious. Never run into it yet. Just curious.
And who makes the determination if the individual is eligible for?
It's based off the coverage that they're eligible for. So.
And then they have to apply, right?
Correct.
But so.
And if they don't apply, I'm sorry.
If they work 23 and a half or 18 or 15 or
If they're
35.
if they're not eligible for health insurance, which means they have to be a full-time employee. Full-time employees must work 32 hours by law.
Okay.
Then they're not eligible for health insurance. If they're not eligible for health insurance, they're not eligible for the waiver.
Okay, so that's it's clearly defined. There's no ambiguity in that
They
determination.
have to be eligible for health insurance.
Okay.
And then they get the waiver at the rate in which, if they did have the insurance, that they would have.
Okay.
It's a great incentive to save the town money, and it does a good thing for the employees, too. It's a
Yes.
further incentive to hire good people.
There would be no resolution required. I know this has come up here, which is why we're mentioning it. There's no resolution required, and there would be no budget. There would be no budget transfer needed because it would be paid right out of the health insurance line.
And it would be a deduction technically to that line.
And
so.
it would actually be, the payroll would now actually hit that budget line and the employee would actually get taxed on the benefit. They're not gonna get taxed on the 11,000, they're gonna get taxed on the 5,000.
When does our plan year start?
The plan year is year to year, so 2019 rates either just came out or I heard the draft came out. They're going up drastically.
Do our coverage cycle or coverage year starts January 1st?
Coverage year starts January 1st, yeah.
Yeah, but Matt, it can be started practically
Waiver can be
monthly
the waiver can be
and canceled monthly, yes?
It can be started monthly and ended monthly if you're a new employee. There's an open enrollment
So-
period of they have to register by,
This included in that?
what?
This program would be included in that, or only on a yearly?
Well, it depends on when we decided. Yeah, my intention would be push it out now to see if I can get anybody off the health insurance now.
Sure, you
Why
bet.
would I want to wait till January?
Yeah.
So you want to grandfather them in, you're saying?
Well, they get a prorated amount because it's
They get a
only-
prorated amount. They
Prorated
can,
amount.
as long as there's what health insurance has is what's called a life change event. So the insurance will say, well, you have insurance already. You can consider dropping ours because of that. You can drop at any time. It's when you try and add to the plan. So if a person was on somebody else's, on their spouse's plan and that spouse lost their job, that's a life change they can go on immediately. They have a child, they can go on immediately. They adopt a child, they can go on immediately. Somebody dies, it changes. Somebody loses their job, loses their benefits, changes their benefits. That's a life change. Where this would be something we could just add today.
This is
And,
like-
you know, I would say you would
No-brainer.
you would add it at the beginning of a month, so it
It's such a
it
no-brainer.
coincides with the healthcare plan. If somebody was to opt in today,
So we don't need to do any kind of resolution.
no. If somebody was to opt in today, they wouldn't get their first payment from us in September. They wouldn't get their first payment from us until November, because if we drop them from the plan, they technically don't drop until the end of the next month.
And the first month on a family plan, as soon as they get inducted, they get how much and we save how much?
First month, they'll get. It depends on the employee.
Salary.
It's a
Depends on the
family,
employee.
a family plan.
Family plan,
At what
60,000.
At what salary range?
60,000.
11,000.
80,000.
80,000.
A well-paid employee.
Okay, first month they're going to see $416.
In their pocket from us of the 5,000.
Yep,
Yep.
And how much are we going to save as the town?
1,600.
Well, folks,
Matt, someone had asked me a while ago,
talk about no-brainers.
Maybe a little bit less than that.
do they have to demonstrate that they have health coverage through another?
They have to
means?
provide us a copy of their health insurance plan.
So they do have
Health
to
insurance
be,
card.
So they have to be covered by another plan
Yes,
in order
they
to
can't.
do this
They
also?
can't. They can't take the waiver just to
Okay.
take the
Take
waiver.
it and not have
Beyond
it
that,
changed.
They have to have health insurance coverage.
They have to have it for
required
their
under the Affordable Care Act.
federal income tax.
What?
Beyond that, they have to have it for federal income tax.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nowadays.
So what are we worried about? They're people bigger than us.
On it's a money-saving option for the town.
It's
and-
tremendous.
And the administration would,
In my
with no
experience.
objection, the administration would like to move forward.
Gentlemen, what say you?
Please.
I have no objection. I'm just questioning administratively, doing it mid-year doesn't introduce any extra
No.
work?
We'll drop, it's a one form to drop somebody from the health
Okay.
insurance plan, and as soon as we get confirmation that they're dropped, payroll add that to the payroll.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
Call for a roll call?
We should also probably update our employee manual to include this in there.
I'm already working
You're
on the
right.
employee manual for a couple changes that need to be made, so I will add that to there.
You're right.
Gentlemen, can we call for a roll call?
Yeah,
Do we
let's,
need to do a motion?
on the record, put it on the record.
I just say, it took more like a
straw
motion to
poll.
consent,
Straw poll?
just a straw poll.
Mr. Allman?
I'm in agreement.
Mr. Cumming?
Heartily in favor.
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Yes?
Yes.
Dr. Cassio?
Of course.
Yes, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Please proceed, Mr. Cavallo.
Benefits the employees, it benefits the town.
Moving on, recreation fees, Mr. Bruno?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see, I know there was a nice schedule that I think was done in 2013, but I'm just trying to see if anything's been done
He
regarding it.
started today, so...
Yeah, I'd like to give him a week or two to get up to
Mr.
speed,
Sedekase?
Mr.
and then put him on it.
Mr. Sedekase will get on it.
Oh, he's doing the rec too?
Yes.
Well, he's doing record property maintenance, yes. Change form of government? Mr. Bruno?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I wasn't here last meeting, but I understand that you wanted to take a poll, a straw poll in terms of changing it, which I'm all for it. I ran for it. I feel that, you know, again, I said it in the debate, I don't think any one person should have any control of $12 million or unilateral decision-making. I still feel the same way, and I'm in agreement of putting an ordinance together so that we can put this on the referendum in the next ballot.
Mr. DeSena, there's no legal way for this council to pass an ordinance to change the form of government. It must be, the only way to,
Well,
you can pass an ordinance to create a charter study commission, but you cannot change the form of government. You can change the plan within the form of government, but you cannot change the form of government.
No.
It must come from the voters.
Of course.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what we were
from the
asking
people.
for. We were asking for a ordinance to ask for a referendum to be put up on the next general election.
You need a petition from the voters. 25% of the voting population.
No, you don't, Matt. That's incorrect.
How?
There's three ways to do it. Charter study.
Right.
Direct petition.
Right.
Ordinance from a council.
Ordinance
from the council to put it on the next general election.
The ordinance from the council can only be to change the plan within the form of government. Add a number of council members, change from wards. You can't change the form.
I don't think so, because I spoke with the gentleman at Rutgers, used to be the administrator here, and he is not of that opinion.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
Yes.
So are you
And if
saying
you'd
we
like
can
to-
do an ordinance to change the form of government?
No, you can do an ordinance to change
put
the
it
plan.
on the referendum.
So if we want to go to a council manager?
That's not changing the plan, that's changing the form.
Oh, okay. So what's the plan?
Number of councilmen
Oh, okay.
deciding to
Forget it.
change
Yeah,
the
yeah,
forms, going from partisan to nonpartisan.
So just to be clear, Mr. Cavallo,
Yes.
you're of the opinion that...
I think this is important that Mike hear this. I'm not sure if he...
We'll wait.
Yeah, because he's going to be an integral part of it, so... I don't know.
Where'd he go?
Maybe he had a...
I don't know. He didn't tell me.
There's no intercom?
There might be, I don't know
Where'd
how
you
to use the new
In
phone.
theaters, they have one.
Kid, come
But
back.
just so you know, I mean, in the theater, they do have one, you guys.
I'll text him.
Need to know their cue lines, no matter
His
where they
phone-
are.
His
Tell me
phone
once-
is here, so don't text him.
I would assume he visited the bathroom.
What used to go on next?
Can we
We called it
change the order and maybe...
Victorian.
Oh, here you go, here you go.
Oh, okay.
Did that sound familiar?
You left your phone.
Was that
Bring it?
Yes, it is
School,
just
you
now,
didn't
to be
have
honest
to
with
raise
you.
your hand, you just went.
Have to go to the bathroom or what?
I have to go.
When you got to go, you got to go.
I'm sorry, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So I was just going to say,
Sorry,
the
my sister put my vote.
council
What the-
Yeah, my wife's...
by themselves are unable to change the form of government.
You're able to have a charter, you're able to form a charter study commission.
But we can't say tomorrow, we want council manager, and it happens.
No, you need a referendum.
A referendum.
Either way, you need a referendum.
So the question, I guess the question that you're looking up, or the question before us is, can, by ordinance, the council select the form of government and put it out for referendum?
Say that again?
The council can pass an ordinance
Uh-huh.
recommending a form of government that would go out for a referendum vote. You believe that that's not the case.
I do.
And Mr. Cassio, you believe that is the case?
I I know that's the case because that's happened in prior towns. Okay? I mean, if you really want to, you could actually, with the council's approval, to go back to the former form, which is the township form, which is the oldest form. Okay? What we can do here is do that form. We can't do a borough form, but we can go back to one of the optional forms. And there's 5 optional forms. There's 3 ways to do it. One way is direct petition with the percentage. The second way is to form a charter committee or charter study. And the third way is to pass an ordinance saying what type you want to go to and put that on the referendum for the next general election. Not this one, it'd have to be the...
Yeah, because the referendum language has to be submitted statutorily.
And you don't have the time. The time isn't there. And those are the 3 ways. Now, I've been discussing it with Mr. Pfeiffer for months, and he concurs with those 3 ways of doing it. He is the expert. And if you think there's another way, or you're unsure, I would give him a call.
I disagree. I'll have a conversation with Mark tomorrow, but...
Okay. But that's it. Those are the only 3 ways.
But what are you going to get at it?
Well, I think Mr. Bruno said it succinctly. You know, we're going to take the onus off personality because there was personality driven conflicts in the past, and it'll be brought to a council. And
Okay.
that would rotate out.
So what would you be looking to go to?
Probably either the manager council or administrator council.
So if you have a administrator, a mayor, so let's go with this, council manager,
Right.
you're giving complete control to a manager. He has full executive power.
Yes.
Appointments, spending money,
That is correct.
you know, so you're just taking away from one person and giving it to
No, I
another.
don't think that's true. I don't think that's what council
I
manager
operate in
is.
that form, Mr. Bruno, I know absolutely.
Yes,
Okay,
that
but you
is-
know,
that is true.
Matt, with all due respect, and I appreciate your comments, so the bottom line is, we would like an ordinance, take a straw poll tonight, to put a referendum out there to change the form of government. I don't think, again, I don't think it's your place to tell us what we want, what are we going to get out of it. I think it's your place to say, yes, great, no, fine. You talk to Dr. Cascio. You know, it's the council who's saying, we want to change the form of government. I ran under it, so I'm not speaking for all of them. I know Mike DeSena did. The other 2 gentlemen didn't run, but, you know, we want to change the form of government, so period.
But unless you're educated, how can you make an educated
Don't say unless I'm
decision?
educated, please. I mean, don't try and diminish the situation and start questioning about educated. What we said is what Dr. Cascio found out from somebody what we need to do. So this is what we need to do. I read about the council manager and the council administrator. The council manager appoints a mayor, but the council and the mayor all decide on what's going to be happening. It's still not just one person do it. Well, that's what I read. Maybe you didn't read the same thing. That's what I read. And that's what we want to do. So I think we take a poll tonight to put an ordinance that we want to put together.
I was all in favor of the council administrator, and then after talking to, you know, Matt and Mr. Pfeiffer, I think what Matt is saying is correct. We're just moving it from the mayor to that person.
Well, that's right. That's not what I thought I read. So then,
No, but I'm saying I think we just need to give ourselves some more knowledge on this.
Well,
because-
why don't we agree to disagree that we want an ordinance to change the form of government and put it on the next referendum for the ballot?
But I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable.
You're not putting the language on it. We're just putting an ordinance that says we want to change the form of government on the next ballot, the
Yeah,
referendum.
but we need to pick what form we.
But the referendum,
It has to say
the
what
ordinance
form.
has to
You
know
can't
all
just
the
The
details.
referendum's not coming up. Ken's not going to write the referendum tomorrow. He's not going to do it until the next ballot.
Yeah, but we have to pick a form
Okay.
to put into that language, Bob. That's what I'm saying. And I thought the administrator was the greatest thing, because I thought we would operate like a borough where the council would pick a mayor, and that administrator would listen to the wishes of the council, and the mayor would be a person on that council. But what I'm being told now is that administrator, he's gonna pick the engineer, all the things the mayor does now, it goes to that person. He or she does it.
Well, I thought the administrator has more power than anybody else.
There's two different forms.
Well, you're talking administrator, you're talking mayor, you're
There's
confusing the two.
there's two different.
No, I'm saying if we go to the administrator form or the manager form, we're just moving the power from one person to another. Is
Okay, so can we take a straw poll to see if we are in agreement
Well,
that we want to
what,
change it?
Bob, what two would you like to look at? You know,
Well, I
the two
thought
like
the
to
council
look at.
manager was the one that gave everybody the right, or everybody, not just the mayor, the council, everybody sits in a room and they discuss the situations. That's what I thought the council manager said, but Mr. Cavallo says I'm not right, so then I'll have to reread everything.
And with all due respect to everyone here, myself included, I'm going to say Matt knows more about this and things of government than we all do combined. And so to not listen to him fairly and just dismiss him, I don't think is proper.
We're not dismissing him, he was dismissing us, but maybe.
I absolutely was
disagree.
not.
Okay.
I'll listen to anyone.
So Matt, what you're saying is if we go to whether it's an administrator, a council administrator, or a council manager, we are moving the power from the mayor to that
So
person.
if you go to a council manager plan,
Okay.
you are transferring all executive power of the government to the manager.
And that's the
Who
one
is
you're
it?
under now, right?
It's the one I'm under now.
And you operate under it every day, so one could call you an expert out of all of us sitting up here.
That is,
So in that form of government, you're picking the engineer, the everything.
so the council still has to approve it, but the choice is the manager's.
Can I just read something?
Right now, we don't approve anything.
Right, yeah, we don't approve anything. Can I just read something? I'm sorry, Mike. So
No,
it says.
go ahead, Bob. I'm
Okay,
just
so-
trying to have a dialogue here. I'm not,
I know, no, Mike Goldman was talking. So it says the municipality is governed by an elected council and by an appointed municipal manager. Doesn't say either or, it says is an elected council and by an appointed municipal manager, and by such other officers or employees as may be appointed pursuant to the statutory provisions, blah, 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 blah. Then it proceeds to tell you, the council consists of 5 members unless otherwise provided in the municipal charter. The council members are elected by the voters of the municipality either, and then it tells you about that. But it says right here, in black and white, that the municipality is governed by an elected council and by an appointed municipal manager. It
And
doesn't
since you-
say that the power is with the municipal manager.
And if I may read, the powers of the municipal manager shall be the chief executive officer and chief administrative official of the municipality, shall execute all laws and ordinances of the municipality, shall appoint and remove a deputy manager if one is authorized by council, and all department heads, all other officers, subordinates, assistants, except the tax assessor, whose selection and removal at no other method is provided in this article, except that he may authorize the head of his departments to appoint or remove subordinates in such departments, supervise the council, his appointees, and report all appointments and removals at the next council meeting. Negotiate contracts for the municipality subject to the approval of the municipal council. Make recommendations concerning the nature and location of municipal improvements. Execute municipal improvements as determined by council. See that all terms and conditions imposed in favor of the municipality are or its inhabitants in any statute, public utility, franchise, or other contracts be performed. Attend all meetings of the council, have the right to discussion without the right to vote. Recommend for the adoption any measure he deems necessary and expedient, and keep the council advised on the financial condition. Investigate investigate at any time the affairs of any officer or department, perform such other duties as may be required of the municipal manager by ordinance, and the municipal manager shall be responsible to the council for carrying out the policies established by it. The budget is his. The municipal budget shall be prepared by the manager. During the month of November, the municipal manager shall require all department heads to submit his request for appropriations for the ensuing budget year to appear before him at public hearings, and shall during that month on the various requests. The manager then submits the budget to the council for their approval. Where in this form of government, by statute, you have the authority to go up and down. There's no up and down on the manager's budget. You can either approve it or deny it. And any provision of general law conferring the appointment power or other power upon the mayor or chief executive head of the municipality shall be construed to mean the municipal manager in the municipality governed under this article, and that the appointments or powers exercised by the municipal manager in accordance with such provisions shall be classified and given the same force and effect as if executed by the official name therein, except that members of the Board of Education, the Board of Public Libraries shall be appointed by the mayor.
Now, do you have a statute on that?
It's 40A, 69, 95, 96, 97, and 98.
I'm sorry,
40,
48,
69A, 95 through 98.
Thank you.
The powers of the council in that form of government are all powers of the municipality and the all powers of the municipality and the determination of all matters shall be vested in the municipal council. That's true, but then it goes back to saying that, I'm reading the wrong one, hold on. It is the intention of this article that the municipal council shall act on all matters as a body, and it is contrary to the spirit of this article for any members to seek individually or to influence the acts of the municipal manager or other officer, or for the council or any of its members to direct or request the appointment of any person person or his removal from office or interfere in any way with the performance of such officers and their duties. The council and its members shall deal with the administrative solely through the manager and shall not give orders to subordinates of the manager, either publicly or privately. Nothing herein contained shall prevent the municipal council from appointing committees or commissions of its own members or of citizens to conduct investigations into the conduct of any officer or department or any matter related to the welfare of the municipality, and delegating such committees or commissions such power or inquiry as the municipal council may deem necessary.
So, when I read the powers of the council, it says, all powers of the municipality and the determination of all matters of policy shall be vested in the municipal council except as otherwise provided by this act and general law.
And then it,
The
and then it takes those
shall
powers.
appoint the municipal manager and municipal clerk. And then it goes on to say also, the municipal council shall continue or create and determine and define the powers and duties of such executive and administrative departments, boards, offices, in addition to those provided for herein, as it may deem necessary. So this basically
says you create the department.
Contradicts what you said. Any department, board, or office shall be continued created at any time. So, you know, again, we've tried to ask for clarification on this, and I'm glad you're bringing it up because I'll have to reread everything again because no one's actually given us this amount of detail in terms of what they are. We just got a piece of paper and said, here, read it. So that's good.
Can I ask, is the manager a tenured position?
No. You can be removed at any time with 90 days' notice.
Is that your terms and
No,
your role?
statute.
It's in the statute.
It's in the statute.
Okay.
And what would you have to have a quorum?
It says for cause, but
But could one member of the council remove the manager?
no. It's a
majority.
simple majority vote.
Simple majority vote.
And you have to decide, do you want the manager or administrative form?
Or the borough form?
And the administrator,
Can't do the borough.
the administrator
Can't
form
do the borough form?
Can't do the borough form.
can't go to the borough form.
You can only go to the former form or
Or
one of
the-
the opens. Yeah, alternate.
And the former form gives you 5 different forms?
No, the
No,
former.
no. The
former
just
form is the township
form.
committee.
It's the original
It's
township
6
committee
it's-
form. It depends on, well, you can really make it what you want, but it's by wards and such, so yeah, you know.
Whitecoff operates under the township committee form of government.
But the 2 that are available to us.
Well, there's
if
more
I'm-
than 2.
No, that are available to, there's more.
Right.
The 2 that we could go to is either the administrative council or the manager council, or going back to revert to the township form, because the borough form is not available to us.
Correct.
So
We
with
were
the
never-
borough form not being available to us, by moving into the other 2, the administrator or the manager, we're basically stripping the mayor of his or her powers and giving it to somebody else who is not an elected official, is what we're doing. Right, John? My understanding this correctly? I don't know, I'm trying to make sense out of this.
You have control over the you by a majority vote, you have control over the administrative thing if you didn't like what they were doing. You felt without the realm of the council. That's what it gives you.
But you could create majority, you can create.
do everything.
But what I'm saying is, but then you're putting the power in somebody else's hands that's not elected. And then you can create simple majorities that person could not be removed by running different campaigns, is what I'm saying. Then you have a person there that has more power than the mayor, because now you can't remove that person. You can't wait 4 years and say, let's vote that person out. As long as the simple majority is always there to help that person.
Depends on a number of factors. That could be a scenario, yes.
The Faulkner Act was sort of made to sort of mimic the federal government and have a strict separation of powers, meaning a true legislative branch, which has no control over administrative departments, and an executive branch, where in the manager form, your executive is the manager, your council is legislative. In this form, and in the mayor, council, administrator form, your mayor is still the executive officer. Your mayor is still the chief executive. You just have appointed administrator. In this form of government, the business administrator has set duties. In the mayor, council, and manager form, he has a different set of set duties. But the mayor is still the executive.
In the mayor council administrator plan, it says
Yes.
here, the mayor shall nominate with the advice and consent of the council, which we know doesn't work in our case, a municipal administrator, assessor, tax collector, attorney, clerk, treasurer, such other officers provided, except wherein is otherwise provided general law. One person may be appointed to 2 more offices. So this, I don't know.
It's the same. They're really
the same thing as we're doing now.
It's the same what you have now.
And you said on the mayor council, the council manager.
Council manager.
Council manager form, what were the duties? Did you start off with? Because I thought mine were different.
So
The duties of the mayor that I read.
the duties of the mayor in the council manager plan.
Yeah, mine is a very short paragraph.
He shall preside at all meetings.
Yeah,
He shall have a voice and vote in all proceedings.
yeah.
He shall fill vacancies in the the trustees of the public library and in the board of education where we have a class 1 school district. And all notes, bonds, contracts, written obligations of the municipality shall be signed by the mayor. But in other words, he's just a councilman.
Right.
He doesn't appoint any department heads. He can't direct the department heads to do something. He can't direct the staff to do anything.
He's just a figure. He's a figure.
He's the council president.
Yeah, he's the council president.
Yes.
Right, that's the council manager plan, right? Right, that's my point. That's what I'm saying.
But he's still not, we're still relying on the manager to make all those decisions.
No, he's part of the council. He's part of everybody's involved.
Yes, but the manager is making all the decisions that the mayor is making now.
I don't think so.
So what
It's not what Matt just said. Did you just say that?
Yes.
You did?
It's getting late, nobody's functioning.
Yes.
Well,
Can we get
you
to?
know, why don't you look at the two, why doesn't the council look at the two forms, the manager and the administrative form, okay? And see what you like about it.
All right. I can send the exact same thing out to everybody, so everybody.
We all have.
And honestly, I recommend you speak to councilmen in towns that have both.
We all have copies of it.
Vernon Township, not Verona, Vernon had the council, the mayor council plan like we do, or the reverse, and they changed because they didn't like how the one person had all the power, but they changed to another one where the one person had all the power. Speak to another town that has the mayor council form like this, like Rivervale or Saddlebrook.
If you want, you can change this form in other ways as well if you want to do a non-primary.
Get rid of the partisan elections.
Partisan elections. You want to increase the number of people on the dais, decrease it. I think with the lowest anyway. It's 5. Yeah.
You can go 7. You can go 7 or 9.
What are them anyway? You're ordering.
You're getting punchy.
You can go. You can go 7 or 9 in this
7,
form.
9. So look at the two and think about what you want and come back next meeting and talk about it.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bruno has the rest of the stuff on this agenda.
So he stepped out to the men's room, but closing of funded unused ordinances. So I think under financials, 1, 2, and 3.
Use the reserve money, yeah.
Go back to, or at least 1 and 2 go back to the discussions we had when the professionals were here. And I don't know if there is any action or if any analysis been done on this in terms of funded balances that are unused or debt that has not been used, debt that's been approved but has not been funded, and can these be canceled?
Mr. President, number 1, closing of funded ordinances. I'm hesitant to talk totally about that right now due to a settlement we need to talk about in closed.
Closed, okay.
Due to outstanding bills.
Oh,
Number 2, I am not prepared or qualified to talk about at this point.
this is the canceling of debt on the bands.
Correct. And number 3, Ashley, myself, and the mayor sat down on that one, and we were sort of a little confused at what number 3 actually meant. If you're talking about the reserve money, meaning the $900,000 from the sale of the middle school, we use that $900,000 as our cash flow right now. One of the problems that we have in this state is that we don't ever approve a state budget on time, and which means we don't send tax bills out on time. In this case, our tax bills went out a month late. In that month, we still have $2.5 million worth of debt to the school we have to pay. If we didn't have a significant cash flow, meaning fund balance or reserve funds to use for that at that point, we'd have to go out and take out TANs, the tax anticipation notes, and be paying interest on notes on money we don't have. Towns that have utilities, a lot of the times will borrow money from their utility. They'll do an interfund. They'll borrow money from the utility for 1 month until the taxes come in to pay back. So you can't tie up the reserve money in a 3 or 6 month CD because at the end of your 2.5 months into your payment cycle, you're running out of money in some cases.
So we have $1 million in the bank from the sale of the school. And because of the inefficiencies of the state government, we can't tap into that.
The money you would make on interest on that in 3 months would be offset by the amount of money you'd have to borrow in on a TAN, because you would have to pay interest on the TANs.
But what if we don't want to use it? I mean, we don't, I guess the question is not to put it into a longer term instrument, but to use it, like to...
If you want to use it, you can appropriate it in an ordinance. And what it would do is you would do a bond ordinance, and you could appropriate that as instead of saying you're going to authorize whatever the 5% down payment and the rest of it you're going to authorize notes, you're going to authorize the use of $600,000 from the reserve, and the rest you're going to go out to notes for. Or you can do a fully funded ordinance, authorize the use of that money. Your other option is take it out of the current fund altogether next year, appropriate it all into the current fund budget, and then as revenue, and then appropriate it out as an expenditure to the capital fund. Now it's sitting in the capital fund, and all you have to do is pass an ordinance.
So I think...
Either way, you have to pass an ordinance to spend it.
I think at least my view on that money is that money was, we're benefiting from that money because we sold a capital asset, a school. I would never see us purchasing a SUV for the DMF or a car for the police, I would expect that $1 million to go towards the firehouse.
Yeah,
to
payment
go-
of land, purchasing land to build something on?
Yes.
Yes.
So, I think it's, should we, so the use of those reserves money, I think the question is, should we? And,
Yes. And the previous auditor had been recommending that for years. Use the money for a big one-time project.
okay.
Who said that? Who suggested that?
The previous auditor, to the previous administration.
It was never passed along to the council.
Okay, so,
Well, Mike, this is new, because I never heard it from the auditor either.
You could utilize that money.
He never recommended that we use that money for a capital project in the 9 years I've been here.
I would,
Let's buy some property and make the Anderson.
I'm just telling you what.
I understand what you're saying. There was we all know why we're here. There was a lapse of
Do
communication
you
between.
have a document somewhere
No.
that states that?
No.
Okay.
so getting back, so item 1, you're going to speak to enclosed.
Yes.
Item 3, if we look at that 1 million, forgetting some of the others that are available,
Used as your down payment on a bond,
we can avail ourselves of that in the per
just by
agreement.
passing of an ordinance.
Okay.
But Matt, are you saying, apart from where the money comes from, this $1 million, should be left in a reserve somewhere to give us the cash flow or float that
It doesn't matter
we
what
need?
fund it's in, if it's sitting there, if it's in the capital fund and we need to do an inter-fund transfer from the capital fund to the current fund to pay 1 month's worth of tax liability to the school, the CFO has that authority to do by law.
Right, but again, what you're saying is we should always have $1 million somewhere.
So that's what you have, that's what you have fund balance.
That's what you have surplus for. We have $3 million in surplus. $1 million here, another $500,000 in reserves, another
And I'm not just saying
$500,000 in
reserve is in
unfunded
the
ordinances.
Your reserve funds altogether.
Our reserve
Mr.
funds
Bruno-
are over $5-6 million.
Right, Mr. Bruno, you're out of the room, but our bill to the school every month is $2.5 million.
No,
If
I
the state had
understand
delayed
that.
another 2 weeks on passing the state budget, we would have owed the school $5 million and had no tax revenue to commit for it.
I mean, the statement of have $1 million is just.
And that's not
makes-
including the county bill.
Makes no sense. I mean, we were sitting here with $6 million, $7 million until 2015 when all this popped up, although everyone said it was the best known secret. Well, it was a secret to me. So now we want to use the money. We're sitting, again, millions of dollars of debt that we're going to
Find a
incur.
project and pass an ordinance. That's
Yeah,
what
we
you
got
need to
plenty
do.
of them. Okay. Okay, thank you.
I could make it 12%.
The other one though, on the bands, so we did some bands, and specifically is we did $140,000 for engineering fees for turf field at Memorial, which we didn't spend, but now we're paying for it, so can we take that money and pay it
You
off?
were not in the room when I said this. I'm not qualified to answer that.
Oh.
I can tell you how to cancel a bond ordinance or cancel an ordinance to cancel the appropriation, but then the money would just go back to the, I'm not sure the money movement of how
How it
to
gets
cancel the
paid?
ban.
Okay,
I think what you need, the ban is out, so it would be when you have to, and don't quote me on this, but when you re-up the ban the next time,
That's
you
what-
would borrow less.
Because you're canceling the unencumbered portion.
Correct.
And by the way, I have asked Ashley, and she is able to attend our next meeting.
To discuss that.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, moving on. Minutes open and closed, Mr. Cassio?
Yeah, I put this on. Back in 2014, I was removed from a council meeting, a closed session meeting, and those meetings have not been released yet, or those minutes have not been released, so I want to know when those are going to be released.
Why don't we just
I think we
consolidate?
said we are releasing them, they're just not, they're gonna
What's that
stay on
about?
top, they weren't approved.
go ahead, sorry.
You already have them.
Sorry,
I have
You
them,
have
the general public.
we have good
Anybody who requests them,
Are
well,
they entitled to it?
if they wanna make an open request, I mean, you got it,
It does
didn't
get a
you?
little late sometimes.
I got it and the audio.
You got it, you got it in
I have the
You have
form
it,
and the
yeah.
audio, so don't they have to be approved?
no, they can't be approved, there's nobody here to approve, there's nobody here that can approve those minutes, because nobody was there to vote on those minutes. So
I can't approve them?
You weren't there?
No. No, you weren't at the meeting, were you?
For a portion of the meeting?
Not, you weren't there during the closed session. You weren't there during the closed session. So the bottom line is, anybody can have them. I mean, I don't think there's anything in there that I've held back in terms of not getting out there, but all I said was to put on top unapproved. And then,
request only.
And why were they not approved in a timely fashion?
I'm not the clerk, so I don't know why they weren't approved in time fashion. I don't handle the minutes.
I didn't say written, but I'm saying brought in front of the council.
I did not, I don't handle that. I mean, right, Sue, you handle the, I mean, not
No,
you.
she wasn't there.
I wasn't
I'm
here, I
just saying,
can't explain
yeah,
it.
I have no idea.
Sorry, I can't explain it.
Okay.
For the same reason, I have no idea why this happened. That we're gonna talk about in closed session.
Was a
The clerk said that, obviously.
There you go. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Good job.
All right, so, and if people want the audio or they want the minutes, they can open them.
Yeah, they can open them and just has to say, not approved.
Not approved.
Not approved.
Are they still official records?
They're just not approved, that's all. Like, you know, that's all I can say. It's not supposed to happen this way. I mean, obviously, it's not supposed to happen this way. You're supposed to get the minutes, just like you're not supposed to have this. But things happen, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Somebody wants them, they can have them.
Cross that off, please.
Sue, amending Chapter 183 sanitation fee schedule. That's Cornelia, right?
Yeah, that was Cornelia. They had a discussion at the Board of Health meeting last week, the week before, about late fees. So if someone is late putting in their fee for food license type of thing, it was suggested from the Board of Health to come back to the council and ask to amend for a 50% late fee. So if their fees were, let's say, $500 for the year, a late fee if they come in, it would be $250.
How do they compare to our neighboring municipalities?
Pretty close. Pretty close. I mean, I could get a comparison if you'd like and let everybody see what everybody else is doing, but we were looking at a few of them, and some of them at 50%. There was another couple that was very, very, I don't know, low, but the 50% seemed to be what was recommended by Angela, who also deals in a lot of the towns with licensing.
So
I can
February
get you some samples if you'd like.
February 15th is when it would be assessed, and they can renew starting January 1st?
Yes.
So they
Similar to
have,
what we do with like the dog licensing, where we give them a month to do it, and after that month, then we charge a fee, and then it, both dog licensing goes up every 12 months.
So we're down by 50% on this.
No, I'm not saying we're down, but if it does happen, the ability to charge a late fee.
Oh, okay.
There was, I think, only one vendor, and off the top of my head, I don't remember which one that was late this past year. So it's just something that would be in place that we need to do.
But we haven't had the need to do it yet.
No, it's not a tremendous like everybody's late, no.
Okay.
No. So it's just something that would be there too.
So you're going to get us surrounding municipalities' fees, and we'll review it at the next meeting?
Sure.
Okay. Do I have a motion to enter into closed session to discuss litigation, personnel, and
So moved.
any other topics? So moved.
Can I just add lawsuit to also?
Lawsuit also, please?
Yes, thank you.
so who's the personnel?
We can't say that. Can we
Yeah,
say?
we can say Bernadette.
Oh,
Sure.
So.
it's Bernadette.
Don't you have to,
They've been riced.
the
They've
stuff?
they've been riced. It's Sue. Can you?
Matthew,
Matthew.
it's Joy A. Park, it's Ashley Maroney, it is Bernadette, I can't say her last name, I was screwed.
Pancala.
Thank you very much. And Mary Alice Clancy and Mr. Lawler.
And Joe.
And Joe
Mr.
Sedekase. And Joe Sedekase.
And everybody's been riced.
Everybody's
Yes.
been riced. Yes.
Yes.
And
The whole township.
Jesus.
the contract negotiation, what contract?
Shared service.
And I'm assuming property acquisition, we can't disclose what it is because,
Could probably say a potential new location for DMF.
Yep.
Can go that far, I think.
and what were the other items? Potential litigation?
Yes, on that ordinance.
Okay.
Ordinance
Thank you.
1811.
Yes, what's the lawsuit? That's not the same.
The lawsuit is
The
something
lawsuit, the planning board lawsuit.
Thank you.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm sorry, who motioned? I'm sorry.
I did.
Sorry, I said that. Second? Sorry.
Second.
Okay. Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Give Ricky a second to